Hey, good morning, everybody, and it is a good morning. If you like rain and lots of it, we have it in Peoria on this Tuesday, the 7th of October, and welcome as we begin with Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU and then YouTube. Good to see everybody on YouTube, and good to see Terry Chamberlain as well. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Did you get wet, if you pardon the expression?
I did. And I parked close to the door.
I did too. If I got any closer, I'd be in the foyer or the lobby of the building. I sat in the car for a while to wait until maybe it might let up. And it did a little bit, but I still got wet. As a matter of fact, my jacket, which is supposed to be a rain jacket, it didn't do much preventing. At any rate, it got soaked. So unfortunately, I had a very light jacket. And, you know, it's a little cool this morning. You don't seem to be bothered this morning. Some mornings you come in and say it's cold. And you have a short sleeve on too.
I do. Of course, when the air kicks on, I might get cold. Right now I'm comfortable.
Yeah, it isn't too bad. Some mornings when you come in, you think it's a storage locker for Pottstown Deli or Pottstown Meats or whatever. Interesting, the showers. How heavy was the rain in your neighborhood? Because you live in Peoria, not too far from here.
It was coming in spurts. Sometimes it's really heavy, and I hear it. When I can hear it, I know it's coming down hard.
Yeah.
And then it let up a little bit. And of course, as I'm ready to walk out the door, it started raining harder. Never fails. Now, right now, it was not pouring, but it's steady enough that, yes, I got wet just running from the car to the
Interesting in listening to the high scope and kind of jump between 31 and 25 to see what stories they have that we don't have, and they usually don't have what we have, and sometimes that's the opposite. At any rate, point is, they were talking about how heavy it was raining in Peoria. And I looked out, well, it's not raining in Morton. And indeed, when I got in the car and raised the garage door, dry as a bone. However, when I got on 155, still dry, okay. Then when you get to the intersection of 155 and westbound or eastbound 74, then it started raining. And just before I got there, it's you drive right into it. It's kind of like, okay, it's time for you to drive into the rain. And it was heavy, heavy all the way, indeed, until we got to Westlake. And then it would let up a little bit. And then by the time we got to the parking lot, it was heavy again. And so I sat in the car and fell asleep wanted to fall asleep, because rain seems to have a pattern.
A nice soothing effect.
Yes, you're exactly right. And but then every now and then I'd wake up because I kept thinking about, I hope it rains in my neighborhood, because my lawn is just absolutely atrocious.
Oh, so's mine.
It is just, at any rate, of course I'm kidding. I waited and hoped that it would light up, and it did just a little bit, enough that I got soaked, but not really. I got wet, but not soaked. Put it that way, for that matter. And it looks like it's going to hang around for a while, for that matter. But as you'll find out when we get into the weather, some gradual clearing. I know you're a good friend, Ed Hammond. Is he on medication this morning?
No, I haven't talked to him.
Well, they got upset by, and I didn't know Jacksonville was that good, the Jaguars, and it was a good game, and we'll give you the details on the loss, and the poor Cubs have lost again, and so I think it's going to be an early exit. They got beat 7-3, and we'll give you the details on that coming up. They have today off and resume play in Wrigley Field tomorrow. I don't think it's going to make any difference. As a matter of fact, Milwaukee's pitching and hitting is so good. They have a very good chance to win the World Series. They really do. I think they'll wind up probably playing the Dodgers, because I think the Dodgers are now 2-0 over the Phillies. And I think that they will handle the Dodgers. Could wind up being a interest. One time I thought it might be the Yankees in the World Series, but I think we'll check out on the sports a little bit later. Speaking of sports, I did not call Mike yesterday. He was scheduled for his first knee replacement surgery yesterday for the third time, having the first two canceled. And I thought, you know what, I think I'll wait a day before I call him, see how he's feeling.
Yes, usually I remember my few surgeries. You don't feel like talking to anybody that
And
first
anybody,
day.
right? I don't care, friend or foe. You know, I don't. And the other thing is, we both have learned, because I've had surgery as well. You just want to be left alone.
Pretty much.
And because you feel like when people come, you have to entertain them, and it should be the other way around. Hey, I'll lay here and doze off, and you talk, sing, whatever you want to do, but don't bother me. And we'll find out for sure. Well, lots of news to report, and coming up later. And here's something else. The 36, can you believe it? The 36th honor flight is taking off today, this morning, and I think we may have an exclusive on it because none of the TV stations talked about it. I don't know about radio for that matter, but Bob Reed, Air Force veteran and dear friend and a longtime listener in the program, let me know yesterday they will. And I wonder, because some of the veterans are not in the great shape in the world, how they will get from the terminal into the plane without, pardon the expression, getting all wet. And the other question is, do they take off in this kind of weather?
If it's pouring down, right, they might not, just for
Might
visibility.
delay it,
They
yeah.
might delay it a little bit. Yep.
And if you're a little squeamish about flying, this is not the kind of weather that you want to get into a plane. I don't care what kind of plane it is and how experienced the pilots are. It's all part of, you know, your mindset. I don't even like driving in this. It was so heavy. I kept fiddling with my wipers to get them to go faster, but they were at top speed. And you know, we've talked about this before. Drives me up a wall, but as I sat waiting for the light to change on Sterling so I could come on to Sterling, I do not run the red light. A lot of people do on the ramp, but I don't, because some of these cars are flying, and sure enough, this morning, another guy blatantly, not even close, ran the light, red. Then I get down to the intersection where you can either go into Northwoods Mall or Westlake, and the lights, if there are any city engineers listening, the lights are on the blink. You sat there like it was Christmas time, and it was Christmas Eve, and people were coming out of the shopping center. It went through 2 cycles and never once gave me the green arrow. And it went through the cycle where it stayed red for drivers, first of all, coming out of Westlake, and then it was red for them and me and all of the other God's children, except those who were supposed to be coming out of Northwoods, which there were no one coming out of. There's nothing going on unless people are racing around. At any rate, I guess sometimes these things get in a rut electronically, because they're all on timers, are they not?
They're supposed to be on timers, but sometimes a car can trigger it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was one afternoon, I was coming back from somewhere. So I was on Gale, there by, I used to be Town and Country,
Right.
in the Forest Hill
Forest
intersection.
Hill, yeah.
Okay. So there was a car in the turn lane, and then there was a car almost cattywampus across the 2 lanes there to go forward onto Gale.
Sure.
So I'm about the 3rd, 4th car back, and so it's red, so we wait. Turn light comes on, so the guards in turn lane turn left. Ours never turned green. What's going on?
Yeah.
Sat there for 3 cycles,
And you never
and
did,
we
yeah.
never. And so I probably said, well, you know, on this.
Yeah.
So I finally managed to get in the left lane and go on around. And I think what was happening, that car said it was sitting crossways across those 2 lanes. It never triggered it right to get the green light.
Okay.
So I go all the way around. I thought, you know, I was just going to come back and see. And so then I came back on Forest Hill, coming down that way. And it had finally changed. And I figured the car must have finally gotten out of the way to change that cycle. But 3 cycles set
3
through a red
cycles,
light,
yeah.
and cars just keep backing up.
Yeah, I wonder what's the matter with you. And
Yeah.
until somebody would look, well, at any rate, the out for me was to go on down to Scenic Drive and turn left under the light, but you wind up having two lights then to deal with, that one and then the one at Scenic Drive and Rockwood Drive. But at any rate, it is what it is, and you deal with it. But like I say, no system is perfect or runs perfectly, unfortunately, like humans for that matter. Well, let's do what we do every morning, is bring you the most comprehensive news in Peoria radio on WAZU. And lots of news, but let's begin with a check of the weather brought to you by Sam Lilly and Associates. A reminder, October 15th, and that's the time for the annual enrollment for Medicare, and it continues from the 15th of October until December 7th. But you can talk to the folks who know a lot about that, and that happens to be Sam Lilly and Associates. He's been around as an independent insurance broker now for over 40 years. He specializes in Medicare. Nobody knows more about it than this guy does. He is the dean, and you can reach Sam Lilly to make an appointment today at 309-245-4374. Weather-wise, as we've been talking for the past 5 minutes, heavy rain, lots of lightning. Have you seen the skies lit up?
Yes, and thunder.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, when we were growing up, we called it heat lightning. Instead of the jagged lines, the whole sky lit up when I was coming down Carper Field going south. Boy, all of a sudden the sky south of Morton lit up like it was Wrigley Field for a night game, and a little on the spooky side to say the least. And you're right, lots of thunder as well. But believe it or not, with some winds gusting to 21 miles per hour, there is to be gradual clearing. We expect to see some sunshine later today. The high only 68 degrees. Goodbye summer. Tonight clear and 47 for the low. Tomorrow it'll be sunny and a very pleasant 69. Thursday sunny and 70. Friday 74 and 79 on Saturday. A little reminder about the second and final weekend on the Spoon River Drive. Currently our temperature is 61 degrees, and now with our lead story, here's Terry.
Another Peoria teen has been shot. The latest victim, 17 years old, was shot on the city's south side in the 2800 block of West Hayes Street shortly after 6 p.m. last evening. He was taken to OSF St. Francis Medical Center. His condition, unknown at airtime. Also unknown is who shot him and why. What is known is a shot spotter alert recorded a total of 12 shots fired.
And Peoria police responded to a call of shots fired in the area of Molick and Baskin Ridge yesterday afternoon. They found nothing, and that's in your neck of the woods, is it not?
Yes, it is.
How far? Molick runs what? North and south, and Reservoir east and west. Am I right on that? Although
Yes.
I think Molick does have a bend.
It has a little bit of a bend in it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it pretty much runs straight between Reservoir and West Richwoods.
Now, where is Baskin Ridge?
I don't know. I'm trying.
I've
thinking.
heard of
I'm
it,
trying
but
to
I
think
can't
of it.
picture it. But and also, I'm sorry, news media. I don't call that Central Peoria. I have a hard time saying that. Usually, Central means in the center, and it's not in the center. As a matter of fact, it's on the west edge. You don't have to go very far on Reservoir before you're into the county area. Am I correct on
You are
that?
correct.
Yeah. So it's far from being Central Peoria. So quit calling it Central Peoria.
It's next to the North Valley.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yes.
That gets my blood pressure up.
Peoria County officials report the death of a man Saturday who was helping to cut down a tree in the 600 block of North Hilltop Road near Farmington Road. Peoria Sheriff Chris Watkins said Orrin Burgess of Creve Coeur was hit in the head by a large limb that had been just cut by another worker at a nearby tree. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene.
And I read in greater details this story. This is just a tragic story. The victim was clearing brush and smaller limbs apparently off one of the bigger limbs that had been cut, and the other worker must have been up on the tree, or I don't quite understand, but he had to be shocked because he let that limb go, and unfortunately, the victim died at the scene. Well, the government shutdown continues after Senate Democrats again blocked a Republican proposal to end that deadlock. Vote 52 to 42 on a House stopgap funding bill that had been passed by the House. The measure needed, of course, unfortunately, 60 favorable votes. I don't quite understand that necessity. But it has to do with appropriations and spending money. That makes 5 rejections of efforts to reopen the government. The White House says Democrats refuse to support even a temporary bill to keep government employees on the job and helping them to receive the regular paycheck.
The riots are growing in number and intensity, especially in Portland, Oregon. In Chicago, and Republicans and some journalists are blaming what they called hateful and insightful rhetoric from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Johnson announced that certain areas of the Windy City cannot be used by ICE agents as they round up criminal illegal immigrants.
More than 800 have been apprehended, including Aldo Bahena of Mexico, who was convicted of murder in 2005, but recently, figure this one out, convicted of murder. They let him out from the Stateville prison in Joliet. 3 of the arrested charged with sexual abuse of children, and another released multiple times by Cook County officials after convictions for burglary and drug possession. Figure out what's going on anyway. I guess I don't understand. I really don't.
A female journalist was arrested by police in Portland after she reported she was attacked by Antifa members during a riot in that city. However, police charged her with disorderly conduct, though she displayed bruises and lacerations from the physical attacks she received.
Isn't that something? And this is the third news person, by the way, arrested by Portland police. Next door to her, a conservative journalist was charged with disorderly conduct recently, but charges were dropped. Portland police refused to arrest anyone after another conservative reporter, Andy No-Go, and it was no-go, was brutally assaulted by Antifa protesters in 2019. They must be some really bad, dirty cops in Portland.
There's something going on. The president says he could invoke the Insurrection Act if the riots and mayhem gets worse in cities like Chicago and Portland. The act gives the president the power to nationally deploy the U.S. military and to federalize National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances, such as the suppression of civil disorder and armed rebellion against the federal government.
That act overrides the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which has been quoted by judges who've been blocking the president's efforts to fight crime in the city. So we're going to talk with Peoria Defense Attorney Kevin Sullivan and more of our exclusive coverage of this after the 7:30 news this morning.
And as we mentioned, another honor flight is leaving the Peoria Airport this morning. We'll get the details from former Air Force veteran Bob Reed after 7 o'clock news, weather, and sports.
And that's a look at some of the stories we're covering. Now, news from WCBU brought to you by the guy who knows business, Steve Sink. If you're thinking about buying a business, maybe you want to get rid of a business, this is the guy to talk to. He is a business broker, has been for over 20 years. He helps people sell and buy businesses, and you can reach Steve Sink at 309-696-8508. What's that number again, Roger? That is 309-696-8508.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The head of the Peoria City County Public Health Department wants people to understand the importance of vaccines to the entire community. Administrator Monica Hendrickson says not enough people understand that vaccines intend to help build an immunity to specific diseases and prevent them from becoming contagious.
A lot of the language and the policy is around vaccine about your independent choice to protect yourself, but they fail to realize that the number one job of vaccine is also to protect others.
Hendrickson stressed the safety and effectiveness of vaccines during a teach-in speaker presentation sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Greater Peoria. The Peoria Fire Department says an overnight blaze at the shuttered KFC restaurant in West Peoria was set intentionally, causing an estimated $500,000 in damage. Firefighters responded to the vacant storefront on Western Avenue shortly after 1:30 Monday morning and saw heavy smoke coming from the roof. Crews managed to extinguish the fire within 15 minutes. A department investigator and canine determined arson was the cause. The state of Illinois and city of Chicago are suing the Trump administration to block the deployment of National Guard troops over Governor J.B. Pritzker's objections. Capital News Illinois reports Attorney General Kwame Raoul filed the lawsuit this morning after Trump officials over the weekend ordered 300 Illinois National Guardsmen be activated to Chicago. Texas Governor Greg Abbott confirmed he is sending 400 National Guard troops to other states, including Illinois, at the president's request. A new financial analysis by the Chicago Bears shows the team's proposed $5 billion stadium in Arlington Heights would need nearly $855 million in public funding. It's not clear if lawmakers will take up the issue in their upcoming fall session. Asked about the new numbers, Governor J.B. Pritzker says he's open to shelling out some state money towards the stadium infrastructure. However,
what we won't be is an unending hole full of money that is, feeding it to a stadium when we have so many other valuable things that the state should be investing in.
Pritzker says he expects local and county governments to pick up part of that infrastructure tab. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into sports, ladies and gentlemen. And before we do, of course, we wish a speedy recovery for our good friend Mike Olson, who underwent surgery, knee replacement surgery on, I wonder how they determine which leg to do first, the right leg, the left leg, or do you think there's any chance they flip a coin?
I don't think they flip a coin.
Yeah. So which one do you, or even answer, which one would you like to do first, Mike? And he'd probably say, well, flip a coin. What difference does it make? Anyway, here's what we have this morning. The Monday night football game featured the Kansas City Chiefs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I love it when John Bierce says the Jaguar. Anyway, this was not supposed to be a close game, but it was. The teams tied 14 all in the third quarter, and the final score, an exciting Jacksonville 31, Kansas City 28. And the Chiefs are now, I believe, 2-3. Jacksonville, who used to be not very good, is 4-1. And it was a good game to watch. I was able to watch snippets of it, but had to wait until this morning to get the final score. Well, let's turn to baseball. The playoffs continue last night. Los Angeles was in the city of love. Is that what they call it? Philadelphia? At any rate, it's far from it. Have you ever been to Philadelphia?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of like Chicago. It's the eastern branch of the Windy City. It was, for a time, a scoreless pitcher's duel between the two teams. The Dodgers, however, prevailed, winning 4-3. They now take a 2-game lead in the best-of-5 game series. Elsewhere in the National League, the Cubs were in Milwaukee for a second game in their series after the Brewers won the first contest 9-3. Last night, in the early going, the teams were tied at 3. Looked like, hey, the Cubs are going to be competitive tonight. Not so. The final this morning, Milwaukee 7, Chicago 3. The two teams have today off. They play next tomorrow in Wrigley Field, starting at 4 in the afternoon. That's an unusual starting time, but remember,
TV's involved.
dictates when the teams will play. So 4 in the afternoon game time, starting time. The Cubs have to win or it's all over. American League playoff games resume today with an afternoon game between Detroit and Seattle. That series tied at a game apiece. The Yankees host the Toronto Blue Jays at 7 p.m. Toronto leads in that series 2-0, and that's again a must-win for New York if they want to stay alive. And in case you missed it, and I do this in honor of our dear friend Mike Olson, the St. Louis Blues, we have to do hockey, at least one score, shut out the Chicago Blackhawks Saturday night 4-0. And that's all we have this morning on Breakfast with Roger and Friends. News, weather, and sports on this October 7th. You know, today, it seems every day is a day for something, and today is Taco Day. I have never been fond of taco. I think it is... they've never been fond of me. I think it's part of it. Are you a lover of tacos?
Yes.
To me, it depends on, you can have tacos that are very spicy, as I understand it. And I stopped one day. I surrendered to the urge to try it for a breakfast taco. Have you ever had one?
I've had breakfast burritos, but not a breakfast taco.
Well, I don't know what it was, but it was bad. Called it a burrito or a taco or whatever, and it looked bad. You know, it was one in Morton, but it doesn't make any difference. They have one down the street here at Forest Hill and Sterling Avenue that's very popular. I assume it's still open. I know Kroger's closed, did they not?
Yeah, are you thinking Pepe Taco? No,
No.
not Pepe Taco.
I thought Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Thank
Yeah.
you. Boy,
Yeah.
that was a flashback to Pepe
Yeah,
Taco.
Pepe Taco, yeah. Well, to me, everything is Pepe Taco. But anyway, this breakfast burrito or whatever it was looked like they just threw everything into it. And I don't want to get into too many details, but within an hour, I didn't feel very good. And I don't know whether the site, you know, they say in food and the culinary arts, and Terry Growe is not here to comment, but presentation means a lot. Now, when you get fast food, don't look for presentation.
No, it doesn't usually come with the parsley on the side and nicely laid out on the
Yeah,
plate.
yeah.
They just toss it in a bag.
When they throw it in a bag and they hand it back and say, hey, have a nice day. Well, what's your ideal taco? If you like tacos, then there's certain ingredients that taco must have.
I like the shredded pork, and then
Now, that sounds good.
shredded cheese, a little bit
That sounds good. So far, so good. We're two for two.
tomato, lettuce.
All right. No, that's
just shred-
four
little
for
shredded
four.
lettuce.
So far. Well, where's
Maybe a dab of sour cream.
now that sounds pretty good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing spicy unless it is
It-
the pork.
Right, depends on how spicy they made the shredded pork. But it can be just normal, too. I mean, it's... Now,
Oh,
they say
really?
there's fish tacos. I have not had a fish taco.
That doesn't sound.
Because you're
That
not,
doesn't
you're not
sound
big
like
on
it
fish.
goes with a taco.
I know, but they do.
I don't know. I doubt you've ever done it, but I'm sure Dr. Sidler has. He and I have. He is an identical twin, and we're identical when it comes to food. Certain foods, spicy foods, and so forth. He can't handle, and neither can I. And I don't know why I'm giving his personal likes and dislikes. But my experience has been when I ask somebody in a restaurant, like a Mexican restaurant, because most of their food is hot and spicy. If I ask them, is it spicy? Oh, not much. I don't think you can tell the difference. I know they're not telling the truth. And it's never failed. I say, okay, I'll try it. And jokingly, I say, I know where you live if it isn't fit to be tied. But invariably, it was. I remember I went to Chili's. I haven't been to Chili's in a long time. When's the last time you ate at a Chili's restaurant?
Probably about February, maybe, of this year.
Okay. Was it the one on Glen and University?
Yes.
Have you noticed they cut down all the trees and bushes?
Yes. I went past it the
Wonder
other
why
day.
they
and-
did that. I guess maybe they thought people didn't know it was there. And you know, they did the same thing at the Morton Bank on Main Street, where I bank. And I drove by the first time. I said, something's different about Morton Bank. The building, it looks different. What's different? Well, I went in and I said to Wayne Mennel, the manager of that branch, I said, what's going on with things look different? And he said, I don't know whether I'm supposed to be telling this or not, but we don't own the land. It's owned by the next door, the church next door. And they decided to cut everything down. And we said, don't do that. But they did it anyway. And it looks naked as a jaybird. You know, it's a good argument. Like I've cut down a number of trees because they grew too big and they were going into my neighbor's yard, and it cost me an arm and a leg. I think I took out a second mortgage to pay for it. But all of a sudden, the backyard looks barren, like the drive from Las Vegas to California. It is trees and bushes add so much environmentally, not only for the look and the appearance, but I think healthy-wise. Aren't trees and bushes and leaves and
Yeah, 'cause-
buckets and
yeah,
so forth?
They're supposed to absorb some of the carbon dioxide, and that that's around us and fresh in the air. But yeah, when I went past Chili's the other day, I looked over, and like you say, it's getting naked. Something catches your eye. All right, I don't think it was this bare before. Then you see all the tree stumps there along the road, and like,
Yeah.
okay, they cut down all the trees.
It just doesn't look good, and you know, to me, it doesn't make sense. But the people own it have a right to do whatever they want to do, and they do it. Well, let's do. Hey, that was a little powerful. That woke me up to get ready to tell you that we have the news. At the bottom of the hour to bring you up to date on the stories we're following, a service of Peoria Pet Crematory. The folks at Peoria Pet are professionals. They offer several dignified options when you lose your pet. They're great people to deal with, and you can reach them at any hour of the day or night. They're available 7 days a week at 309-713-1898. Now the news, here's Terry.
Another Peoria teen has been shot. The latest victim, 17 years old, was shot on the city's south side in the 2800 block of West Hayes Street shortly after 6 p.m. last evening. He was taken to OSF St. Francis Medical Center. His condition unknown at airtime. Also unknown is who shot him and why. Peoria County officials report the death of a man Saturday who was helping to cut down a tree in the 600 block of North Hilltop Road near Farmington Road. Peoria Sheriff Chris Watkins said Orrin Burgess of Creve Coeur was hit in the head by a large limb that had just been cut down by another worker at a nearby tree. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. The government shutdown continues after Senate Democrats again blocked a Republican proposal to end the deadlock. The vote was 52 to 42 on a House stopgap funding bill. The measure needed 60 favorable votes. That makes 5 rejections of efforts to reopen the government. The riots are growing in number and intensity, especially in Portland, Oregon. In Chicago, and Republicans and even some journalists are blaming what they called hateful and insightful rhetoric from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Johnson announced that certain areas of the Windy City cannot be used by ICE agents as they round up criminal illegal immigrants. More than 800 have been apprehended, including Aldo Bahina of Mexico, who was convicted of murder in 2005, but recently released from Stateville Prison in Joliet. 3 of the arrested charged with sexual abuse of children, and another released multiple times by Cook County officials after convictions for burglary and drug possession. A female journalist was arrested by police in Portland after she reported she was attacked by Antifa members during a riot in that city. However, police charged her with disorderly conduct, though she displayed bruises and lacerations from the physical attacks she received. This is the 3rd news person arrested by Portland police. Nick Sorter, a conservative journalist, was charged with disorderly conduct recently, but charges were dropped. Portland police refused to arrest anyone after another conservative reporter, Andy Nogo, was brutally assaulted by Antifa protesters in 2019. The president says he could invoke the Insurrection Act if the riots and mayhem get worse in cities like Chicago and Portland. The act gives the president the power to nationally deploy the U.S. military and to federalize National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances, such as the suppression of civil disorder and armed rebellion against the federal government. The act overrides the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which has been quoted by judges who've been blocking the president's efforts to fight crime in the cities. We'll talk with Prairie Defense Attorney Kevin Sullivan after 7:30 news this morning. And another underflight is leaving the Peoria Airport this morning. We'll get the details from former Air Force veteran Bob Reed after the 7 o'clock news, weather, and sports. And those are the headlines, Roger.
Yeah, I wonder whether they're sitting on the tarmac or on the runway, or maybe they've taken it. But we'll get all the details from Bob Reed a little later on this morning, after you said, after 7 o'clock news. How about a check of the weather? And it's brought to you by a guy who knows weather, Kyle Varno. He's also an insurance pro, and he can help you find the right insurance at the right price. He's available today at 309-682-0519. That number again, 682-0519. Well, unless you've really been in a deep sleep, you know, in the Peoria area, we've had some heavy rain and lots of lightning across the skies this morning. And believe it or not, we'll see some gradual clearing and eventually sunshine later today. The high only 68, and tonight it'll be cleared down to 47. Tomorrow it'll be sunny and pleasant, 69. Thursday, sunny and 70. Friday, we're up to 74 degrees, and Saturday, 79. And we've lost a couple of degrees. Currently, our temperature at 59 degrees. And there you have the news and weather at the bottom of the hour. Well, let's talk about our history question. You ready? Sure. You got your thinking caps on?
Yep.
This is going to be a tough one, really a tough one. I debated, do we do this one or do we come up with something a little different? No, I think you like challenges. On this day, October 7th, the year 1816, we had a first, and I'll help you, give you an early clue. It had to do with navigation, had to do with water. I don't know whether that helps, but it narrows it down a little bit. So it wasn't about airplanes. It wasn't about cars. It was about water.
And this is in the United
And
States?
it's not, yes. And it was not have anything to do with the weather.
That's 1816. Let's say an explorer found the Northwest Passage.
Well, that's a nice attempt, but it means that I need to give you some better clues. Had to do with what was in those days a common mode of travel.
Ferry.
Okay, what's another word for ferry that has to do with travel?
Barges.
Okay. Think about how did vehicles on the water, what was their mode of power?
1816 could have been a rowing crew. I think it was too early for the steam engine.
No,
So it was wind, sails.
no, it wasn't too early for,
Wasn't too early for the steam engine?
no.
Then Robert Fulton's first steam-powered boat went up the...
Okay, you have a first, it wasn't Robert. You do have a first. It was the first
Steam boat
Yes.
on the Mississippi River.
Well, you would think that. What it was, I don't think so. I don't see the Mississippi on it, but you're in the right neighborhood. First of all, describe what you think the ship looked like, because that's part of the question or the answer.
Well, in my mind, I see like the Julia Bell Swain or the Spirit of Peoria, like that paddle boat.
Okay. Well, in this case, it was the first blank steamboat, and it arrived. That'll be the second part of the question. What mode of travel is particular for tourists? A familiar sight in London.
A double-decker bus.
Okay, so
A two-story
double-decker steamboat. Right.
Okay.
Very good. We're progressing very nicely. The first double-decker steamboat arrived in what city?
East Coast,
No.
Midwest.
Not really the Midwest, but
Oh, so I was going to say St.
go
Louis.
go a little lower. I mean, lots of lower.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yes. That's the answer to the question. In 1816, October 7th, the first double-decker steamboat arrived in New Orleans with a design that would soon prove ideal for western rivers. And the Washington was the work of a shipbuilder named Henry Shreve. What happened to Fulton? Who had launched the steamboat earlier that you're on what river just above Pittsburgh? And what a name this says.
The Monongahela.
Yeah. What is it? The Monongahela River. Monongahela River. Nice going, Roger. Say that 5 times. Shreve's cleverly designed Washington had all the features that would soon come to characterize the classic Mississippi riverboat. A 2-story deck, a stern-mounted paddle wheel powered by a high-pressure steam engine, a shallow, flat-bottom hull, and a pilot house framed by 2 tall chimneys. That's a familiar sight, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
When you look back on it. Perfectly designed for the often shallow western rivers like the Mississippi and Missouri. The name of the boat again was?
The Washington.
The Washington. Proved itself on its inaugural voyage. The Washington reached Louisville in only 25 days.
Is that all?
That's all, yeah. That's right. They left on Thanksgiving and got there in time for the St. Patrick's Parade. At any rate, let's see. The following spring, steaming upriver against the current with a full cargo, the Washington, as I say, reached Louisville in 25 days, demonstrating that the powerful new generation of steamboats could master the often treacherous currents of the mighty western rivers. Soon the Washington began to offer regular passenger and cargo service between New Orleans and Louisville. I thought maybe St. Louis, steaming upstream at the then dizzying speed of 16 miles per hour. Hey, that's pretty good, though. Mm-hmm. And downstream as much as 25 miles per hour. Whoopee. Now you know the rest of the story. That was kind of a hard one, but tomorrow will be an even more exciting bit of history news. 59 degrees, and we'll be after this message from our friends, Louis Linder and Peoria Pet Crematory.
Today's Pet Tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. When you find a badly dehydrated kitten or puppy, the first thing you must do is replace the lost electrolytes the same as in a human baby. Clear Pedialyte will work well. Take a small syringe without a needle and holding the kitten in a sitting position, push the syringe into its mouth and slowly give the unflavored Pedialyte. Be careful he doesn't choke or aspirate the fluid into his lungs. Depending on how dehydrated the kitten is, you can give 12 cc's every hour, but hopefully you can get him to a vet sooner. It's also a safe bet the kitten has not eaten and is in need of nourishment. Kitten Milk Replacer, KMR, can be purchased in powder form at any pet or farm store. Mix the KMR with the Pedialyte and using the syringe, give the mixture in the same manner. This can help the animal greatly and buy you the time you need to get the kitten to the vet or rescue. My sister did not know about these precious tips, and time was lost for the kitten she tried to save. Now she has learned some valuable tips. Remember, keep Pedialyte on hand, always have Kitten Milk Replacer, and then you can help any ailing animal while you're on the way to the vet. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at PeoriaPetCrematory.com.
Thank you, Louis Linder. Always great information. And again, our thanks to Bruce and Lance and all the folks at Peoria Pet Crematory. We have used them, and they're wonderful people, very compassionate, and they do a marvelous job. Weather-wise, we're getting the rain that our lawns, at least my lawn, is so badly in need of. Heavy rain in Peoria, along with lots of lightning in the sky. And it's going to be that way for quite some time today. But the National Weather Bureau is indicating gradual clearing. We'll get to see some sunshine later today. The high 68, and we are at 59 degrees. We've got a big event coming up. Kyle Varnold, who's the public relations officer, I believe, for St. Mark's School and Church, has dropped off some important information to invite everybody to an event that's coming up. Terry, what's going on?
Yes, as they say, save the date. It's Marktoberfest. It will be Sunday, October 26th, from noon until 5 p.m. It's presented by the St. Mark's Men's Club and the Paris School Association. It's an all-you-can-eat fundraiser, including Pottstown brats, sauerkraut, hot dogs, scalloped potatoes, and chili. Beer and soda are available for additional purchase. And they've even got the Bears versus the Ravens on the giant screen. The game begins at noon. Now, they're also going to have Trunk or Treat. That begins at 4:15 on the playground blacktop. There will be a trunk decorating contest.
Yeah, you were talking about that. That's, in reality, kind of a new development. I won't say maybe 5 to 10 years ago they started doing that sort of thing.
Yes, and it's an effort to...
Yeah, what's the effort?
It's safety reasons. So instead of...
They don't want kids going door to door.
Right.
Okay.
So the parents pull their cars together and in a church parking lot, or in this case the school blacktop, and everybody opens their trunk, and I guess they can get really elaborate decorations. I've not gotten into it.
I've never seen one, but I hear some people can get very creative.
Yes, and then that's where then the kids go from car to car with their bags and go trick or treat. That's how they get their Halloween candy. So once again, that will be Sunday, October 26th, from noon until 5 p.m.
It sounds like fun. It's not my idea of Halloween. I still like when you get a knock on the door and you open the door and here's some little kids all dressed up in a variety of costumes, and some people really go at it big time. However, I remember when we used to live in Wardcliff, high school kids would come with no costume whatsoever, just begging for sugar high. And, I had to be careful what I said because, they can wreak havoc
And they
with
come
you.
back and egg your
Yeah, egg your
house or
exactly
TP
right.
it or,
And I used to sarcastically say, hey, guys, really look neat in your Halloween costume. I love the makeup on your face. and by and large, most would laugh. And I said, well, here, have a good time getting high on the sugar. And we also had people who would pull up in their cars from other neighborhoods, and the kids pile out, go up one side of Overbrook Drive, cross the street, come down on the other side, and then get back in the cars and go to the next neighborhood. And I always thought that was cheating, but I recognize there are some neighborhoods that people didn't have the money to buy Halloween candy and didn't want to do it. I know my dad on Halloween always turned out all of the porch light, virtually every light in the house except the TV. So, the kids knew somebody was in there because they could see the bright light of the TV.
Well, like when I was growing up, we did have a nice neighborhood, and you walked.
Yeah, the kids would. And you usually knew the kids, and some of the kids that you might have been close to, which was the case when we moved to Morton, as well as in Peoria. We had some wonderful neighbors on Overbrook Drive, is you had something extra for the kids who live next door, or on one side of the house and the other side of the house, or whatever the case may be. And it did the same thing in Morton. And it got we had some people across the street. They really had some big bars. So I put on a costume, and I thought about it, because when I heard, are they kidding? They're giving away those big Hershey bars.
They're giving the full size Hershey bars and the bite size.
Big one. So, in return, I thought, well, for their kids, I'll do the same thing. It is amazing that as you get older, that you look back on the days when, I don't want to get too personal, I don't want to embarrass them, but these kids are now big kids playing high school football. Big, strong, bulky kids. I remember when they would come over, and we always stocked the refrigerator, the freezer, with ice cream bars. And they would come over, I'd like to think just to see us, when I knew in reality, when they would say, you have any ice cream? And, of course, they knew that we did, and we always had made sure we had ice cream bars in the freezer, because we never wanted them to disappoint them. I never wanted to disappoint them. Plus, we wanted to make sure they kept coming over, because they were, little kids are added a bit of cheer to your mundane life sometimes. I don't know what the case was in your neighborhood, but we always had something special for the kids across the street.
No, we didn't do that.
I know they have 2 boys and a daughter, and she's graduated from college, has a job. But she made a really neat little handmade decoration that we hung in the kitchen for years and years. Finally took it down when she came over one day, not too long ago, as a grown female adult, and I thought, and I pointed out to her, I said, you remember doing this? And she smiled and said yes. And she left, and I said to Nancy, I said, I think it's time to take it down. She's a grown woman, and probably will get married very, very, very soon. And that's something else, too, that we could talk about, and I know our listeners would agree with us. We don't neighbor, by and large, I'm speaking in generalities now, we don't neighbor like we did 20, 30, 40 years ago.
No, we don't. I think a large part, well, it depends on if there's kids in the neighborhood.
Yes, that's true.
When we moved to the new neighborhood, there were quite a few houses with kids, and so they'd be out in the street. They'd be playing a pickup baseball game and crazy stuff like that. And sometimes even the younger fathers were out there playing with
the
them.
kids.
Yeah, and so you got to know everybody. Nowadays, I know for a fact that the neighborhood does not have a lot of young kids. And you don't see them playing outside.
The neighborhood does change, yeah.
It
does in character and so forth. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that today many mothers go to work for 2 reasons. Maybe the family needs the extra income, and 2, a lot of women are not that eager to be mothers, shall we say. They want to be professionals. They want to have what they went to college for. Not to meet a guy and get married and raise a family, but to be specialists in finance or special education, a teacher or whatever, or a realtor. Now, that's something today's mothers can do. They can be a mother and a housewife, and also a professional in the area of real estate, as you know.
Yep.
But neighborhoods are different today.
You're lucky if you know your next door neighbor and the neighbor across the street, and that's.
Yeah, no, you're right, and stay familiar. We have a new neighbor that moved in, and they're retired, and they have spent since day one. How do I want it? Landscaping their property, and I mean to tell you, they have invested hours and thousands of dollars. And that's why my burn yard looks even worse because of what they've done next door. Dr. Sidler, I continue to quote him, he said, I don't necessarily want to be the best, but I don't want to be the worst. And I will tell him when he is here on Thursday, I am the worst. And, the yard, because of the rains, or the lack of rains, many of my neighbors have that irrigation system, and those are not cheap to install, particularly today. And in Morton, my understanding is they assess you an extra tax if you do have an irrigation system.
Wow.
And that kind of turned me off, if you pardon the expression, about doing it. And yet when I see how good their yard looks with the irrigation system, I think, well, maybe you ought to bite the bullet, Roger, and go ahead and have it done. But on the other hand, if it rains, if Mother Nature, and I hope it gets a good, when I left this morning, there was no rain there. So I'm hoping some of this storm front that's going through the area will blow in the direction of
I heard it was headed east,
Yeah.
so that
Is that so? I have a chance for it.
you have a chance.
Yeah,
Yes.
I sure hope so, for that matter. Well, don't go away. We'll be right back after this message.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You know, that spot brought back a pleasant memory about my first job. I don't even remember when you had your first job, but my first job, and I mean really a professional job, and that was in broadcasting. I had jobs, a newspaper job. I used to, as a kid, sack potatoes at Frasco's Grocery at the corner of Fairholme and North Adams, across from Firehouse Number 12. And worked at the Krause Farms briefly, by the way. But my first really job beyond curbing at Hunt's Drive-In, I had some amazing jobs as a kid, and my dad made sure I did. But I remember when WTVH, it was a radio station located where Channel 19 used to be at 500 North Stewart in Creve Coeur. And at one time, WTVH had both television and a radio station. I forget what frequency it was. And I was a student at Bradley University, and a classmate and I competed for the job. And I wound up getting the job. And so one day when the station manager and his wife were in, it was on a Saturday, and that's what I did most of the time, was work on weekends. And I played a tape program, a 30-minute tape, and while I was playing, I went over and said hi to them, and they said, "Hi, Roger, how you doing?" I said, "Fine." I said, I'm wondering, I know me, and I think my classmate's name was Ken. Ken and I applied for the job, and I wound up getting it, and I said, could you tell me why you wound up selecting me over my classmate? I'm just interested in knowing. He said, the guy said, "You really want to know the truth?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "We flipped a coin." And that was kind of a downer, because I was hoping, I said, well, you presented yourself very well, and you read the copy that we gave you very well. Instead, it was a flip of the coin. Norm Kelly wrote a nice biography of my early life, and he titled it "With the Flip of a Coin." And I said, well, that's nothing wrong with that, because that's pretty accurate for that matter. At any rate, it is a Tuesday, the 7th of October, and one of the things we are remembering is what happened in Israel on this day. Something like 1,100, close to 1,200 Jews were slaughtered, and some foreign nationals as well, by Hamas. And trying to remember, I think they took 251 people hostages.
Yep, I
And
think that's right.
now they're down to Something like, is it 80 or I was thinking 40, and
Has it dropped
some
to
of those
40?
are deceased as well. So we're having our problems in this country, no question about it, but nothing like what the people of Israel has gone through. So our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Israel. News, weather, sports coming up, and we'll talk to Bob Reed about the auto fight that is leaving or may have left by now. We'll find out from Bob, an Air Force veteran and one of our regular listeners on veterans on WACU Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Don't go away. I almost feel like we're leaving a club in downtown Peoria. It sounds like a little bluesy. It's Saturday night. Well, it isn't. It is a Tuesday morning, and let's get into the news. And some of the news, I guess, a little on the bluesy side. At any rate, let's start with a check of the weather brought to you by Advanced Medical Transport, Central Illinois. AMT dedicated to providing a better life through better health. And the weather is, well, we like it. We'll call it better weather forecast because we're getting rain. And certainly our lawns need it. Heavy rain and lots of lightning this morning across central Illinois. And we're going to see, believe it or not, gradual clearing and sunshine later today, a high near 68. Tonight, clear 47 for the overnight low. Tomorrow it'll be sunny and a pleasant 69. Thursday, sunny and 70. Friday, we're up to 74. 79 on Saturday, and a little reminder about the Spoon River Drive coming up for the second weekend. Right now, we are at 60 degrees. With our lead story, here's Terry.
Another Peoria teen has been shot. The latest victim, 17 years old, was shot on the city's south side in the 2800 block of West Hayes Street shortly after 6 p.m. last evening. He was taken to OSF St. Francis Medical Center. His condition was unknown at airtime. Also unknown is who shot him and why. What is known is a shot spotter alert recorded a total of 12 shots fired.
And Peoria police responded to a call of shots fired in the area of Moloch and Baskin Ridge yesterday afternoon. They arrived, found nothing, but they do have a suspect in mind, apparently. We'll learn more later.
Peoria County officials report the death of a man Saturday who was helping to cut down a tree in the 600 block of North Hilltop Road near Farmington Road. Peoria Sheriff Chris Watkins said Orrin Burgess of Creve Coeur was hit in the head by a large limb that had been just cut down by another worker at a nearby tree. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene.
The government shutdown continues after Senate Democrats again blocked a Republican proposal to end the deadlock. The vote for 52 to 42 on a House stopgap funding bill. The measure needed 60 votes. That makes 5 rejections of efforts to reopen the government. The White House says Democrats refuse to support even a temporary bill to keep government employees on the job.
The riots are growing in number and intensity, especially in Portland, Oregon. And Chicago and Republicans and even some journalists are blaming what they called hateful and insightful rhetoric from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Johnson announced that certain areas of the Windy City cannot be used by ICE agents as they round up criminal illegal immigrants.
More than 800 have been apprehended, including Aldo Bahena of Mexico. He was convicted of murder in 2005, but recently released from Stateville Prison in Joliet. Why he was released, I have no idea, and I don't think anyone else does for that matter. Elsewhere, 3 of the arrested charged with sexual abuse of children, and another released multiple times by Cook County officials after convictions for burglary and drug possession. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason why officials like the governor and the mayor should say, good job, guys. You took those bad people off the streets. Instead, they're attacking the people enforcing the laws of the country and the state. I have a hard time, but politics creates some strange bedfellows.
But a murderer let out of
They're
Stateville.
sexual predators. You would think there would be praise for them. Yeah, okay, you don't like what they're doing, but at least say, hey, we appreciate what you've done, but, and then do your dog and pony show.
A female journalist was arrested by police in Portland after she reported she was attacked by Antifa members during a riot in that city. However, police charged her with disorderly conduct, though she displayed bruises and lacerations from the physical attacks she received.
Yeah, did you see her on TV?
I did not.
She got banged up pretty good, and the police arrest her. Figure that one out. Well, let's talk about a third news person arrested by those police officers in Portland. This guy's name is Nick Sorter. He's a conservative journalist. He was charged with disorderly conduct, but charges were eventually dropped. I think they said, we're being kind of stupid here. Portland police refused to arrest anyone after another conservative reporter, Andy Nogo, was brutally assaulted by Antifa protesters in the year 2019.
The president says he could invoke the Insurrection Act if the riots and mayhem gets worse in cities like Chicago and Portland. The act gives the president the power to nationally deploy the U.S. military and to federalize National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances, such as the suppression of civil disorder and armed rebellion against the federal government.
That act overrides the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which has been quoted by a lot of liberal judges, those who have been blocking the president's efforts to fight crime in the cities. And it's an interesting development. Will the feds overcome some of these judges? Anyway, we'll find out as we talk with Peoria Defense Attorney Kevin Sullivan after the 7:30 news this morning.
Another honor flight is leaving the Peoria Airport this morning. We'll get the details from former Air Force veteran Bob Reed after the 7 o'clock News Weather and Sports block.
All right, let's get into the news from WCBU. You never know when you or someone you love will need help recovering from a health problem. Spoon River Home Health, these folks have been serving families with a great staff of nurses, therapists, and home care assistants for over 30 years. And they're available 24/7. Here's their phone number, 309-245-0723. That number again, 245-0723.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The head of the Peoria City County Public Health Department wants people to understand the importance of vaccines to the entire community. Administrator Monica Hendrickson says not enough people understand that vaccines intend to help build an immunity to specific diseases and prevent them from becoming contagious.
A lot of the language and policy is around vaccine about your independent choice to protect yourself, but they fail to realize that the number one job of vaccine is also to protect others.
Hendrickson stressed the safety and effectiveness of vaccines during a teach-in speaker presentation sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Greater Peoria. The Peoria Fire Department says an overnight blaze at the shuttered KFC restaurant in West Peoria was set intentionally, causing an estimated $500,000 in damage. Firefighters responded to the vacant storefront on Western Avenue shortly after 1:30 Monday morning and saw heavy smoke coming from the roof. Crews managed to extinguish the fire within 15 minutes. A department investigator and canine determined arson was the cause. The state of Illinois and city of Chicago are suing the Trump administration to block the deployment of National Guard troops over Governor J.B. Pritzker's objections. Capital News Illinois reports Attorney General Kwame Raoul filed the lawsuit this morning after Trump officials over the weekend ordered 300 Illinois National Guardsmen be activated to Chicago. Texas Governor Greg Abbott confirmed he is sending 400 National Guard troops to other states, including Illinois, at the president's request. A new financial analysis by the Chicago Bears shows the team's proposed $5 billion stadium in Arlington Heights would need nearly $855 million in public funding. It's not clear if lawmakers will take up the issue in their upcoming fall session. Asked about the new numbers, Governor J.B. Pritzker says he's open to shelling out some state money towards the stadium infrastructure. However,
what we won't be is an unending hole full of money that is, feeding it to a stadium when we have so many other valuable things that the state should be investing in.
Pritzker says he expects local and county governments to pick up part of that infrastructure tab. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into sports. And why don't you make yourself comfortable, Terry? And
Always comfortable.
yeah, we'll let you do sports.
Let me
since,
do sports.
you're
I'm such
you're
a
the-
sports guy.
This guy, yeah. Here's a guy who knows sports.
Oh, yeah, right.
Unfortunately, he's in the hospital. In the meantime,
Oh, my
Terry's
goodness.
here, looking very dapper, by the way.
Oh,
I tell you, you're a clothes horse, no question
No,
about it. Yeah.
And how did that start? What's that expression from?
The clothes horse?
Clothes horse.
a
I
clothes
don't know.
horse.
I've never seen a horse in clothes. But,
And if you do, you got to stop drinking.
I know. Hey, Monday Night Football.
Yes.
I didn't see it last night. I was on the back porch with friends having a cigar.
Really? Are you a cigar smoker?
I am.
Yeah. You're. But I take it you're not a fisherman,
I used to be.
because guys used to love to pull out a cigar while they were.
I used to fish.
Maybe.
Yeah, I haven't fished for a long time, but I used to.
Where'd you go when you fished?
There was a little pond down in Bloomington, and there was a really nice pond out north of town, off of Giles Lane. It was
Really? Where was
Jose. His name was Jose that owned the property back there.
I didn't know that it was off
It
the
was
Giles
I caught a
Lane. Yeah.
huge bass one night
Yeah.
out there and brought it home and should have put it on the wall, but
But
we
the
had
wife said no.
No, we had
Yeah.
had a lot to drink and we ate it.
Well, you could put the bone. You could put the bones up
You
on the
know,
wall.
I mean, this thing was huge. It would have
Really?
been beautiful.
What do you
stuff
weigh?
that-
8 pounds? 9 pounds?
it was huge. We didn't weigh it. We just ate it. Just-
Who cares how much it weighs? Pass me another helping.
We're just hungry and
of
drunk.
bass,
Oh,
But that was great, wasn't it? A cigar and a fish.
oh yeah. Anyway, Monday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wasn't supposed to be close, but it was. The teams were tied at 14-all in the third quarter. Jacksonville upset the Chiefs 31-28. Chiefs aren't doing that good this year.
No, they sure aren't.
The returning Super Bowl champs. This would be their third Super Bowl, right? But they're not going to make it this year.
Well, you never know. It's still plenty of the season, but they've won
lost-
2 and lost 3.
Oh, they've lost 3.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. The baseball playoffs continue last night. Los Angeles was in Philadelphia. It was, for a time, a scoreless pitchers duel. The Dodgers prevailed, winning 4-3 to take a 2-game lead in the best-of-5 game series. Elsewhere in the National League, the Cubs were in Milwaukee for a second game in their series after the Brewers won the first contest 9-3 last night. In the early going, the teams were tied at 3. Our final this morning, Milwaukee 7, Chicago 3. The two teams have today off. They play next tomorrow at Wrigley Field, starting at 4 in the afternoon. The Cubs have to win, or it's all over for the Cubbies. American League playoff games resume today with an afternoon game between Detroit and Seattle. That series tied at a game apiece. The Yankees host the Toronto Blue Jays at 7 p.m. Toronto leads in that series 2-0. That's a must-win for New York if they want to stay alive. In case you missed it, St. Louis Blues shut out the Chicago Blackhawks Saturday night for zip. And that's all we have this morning. Chris Buckley. Okay. I don't know what that means right there, but anyway. Anyway, I'm not going to read that part. I didn't get to pre-read this. Roger just handed it to me. Anyway, where did that come from? A horse of a different color? No, a clothes horse.
Originally, a clothes horse was a clothes drying rack. A wooden rack, and you could put your clothes. If it was raining outside, you couldn't put on the.
Well, my wife
the
still does
clothesline.
that. She's got a little wooden for her, like
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
delicates or something, whatever you call
And
those.
so when people were wearing off or showing off their clothes, it was mounted their clothes like they put it on the drying rack, and that's how
Interesting.
we got.
And
clothes
now you
horse.
know the rest of the story.
We are so informative here.
Yes, we are, and we're going to learn more about the honor flight. Bob Reed, retired Air Force veteran, is on the line. Good morning, Bob.
Why, good morning, Roger and friends.
You're at the airport for the 36th, did I read that right, honor flight?
That is correct, and they were just now breaking ground. I'm just watching them go past the window here.
Yeah. What's the weather like?
It's going to be up in the 80s out there in Washington and sunny.
No, but I mean right now at the airport. Because when I came,
Right now,
it was cats and dogs.
We were on a rain delay. They couldn't refuel. We couldn't put the wheelchairs. Once it passed, we went out there and got all the wheelchairs put away, and we finished the refueling and started boarding. So they made it right on time still.
So has it taken off, or is it still on the tarmac?
No, it just took off.
No, he just watched it go by.
Oh, good. Okay, wonderful. And what do you have, about another 70 veterans on the flight?
71 veterans on this flight.
That is terrific. Absolutely. God bless you for what you did. What was the spirit as they were heading out to the plane?
Well, I talked to several of them here when I got here this morning, and they were all pumped up. They were pumped up last night at the pre-flight dinner. They were ready for everything, and they're all, the guardians were with them. A lot of the guardians are their children or grandchildren as their guardians, and they were excited about this trip. And we got them out of there just around 7 o'clock last night, and we start right at 5:30, and we get them out of there between 7 and 7:15 at the latest.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrific. Now, this is the final one of the year, correct?
No, we got one more next month.
Oh, you're kidding. Wow, how do you manage to do that? These are not inexpensive events. How in the world do you come up with the money to make it possible? And God bless you that you do, you and the whole crew.
Hy-Vee is starting to work with us now. We also have the Paradise that they provide the building for us, and Mission Barbecue comes in and helps us with the food and everything.
Oh, wow.
We also had some private donations have been coming in, and also we switched airlines, and that made a difference on our flights there and back. At one time we had several different colored shirts which represented the different periods of conflict. Now they decided just to have one shirt and one hat will cover all the conflicts. So everybody's a veteran is a veteran. You cannot distinguish between a Korea veteran or a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah.
And so they save money that way.
What do you think? Excuse me. What do you think? This is Terry. What do you think it costs to do, either per guy or per flight, or whatever? What are we looking at?
Well, right now the Guardian, his fee or her fee is $500. Okay. Now that covers the airplane, their food, and their hats, their shirts, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for the others. You rely, as you said, on sponsors and donations and contribution. Another question, and I know you've answered it before, but bears repeating because I know there's some people who are totally unaware, and we try to do as much as we can to reach those individuals. How do they learn about the opportunity to fly to the memorials in Washington?
Roger, you are 100% right. We're still surprised. Now, we started in 2013, and in 13 years, there's still a tremendous amount of people who have never heard of such a thing.
Yeah.
Right now, we have WEK going with us, and they have become a big sponsor. So
Good for
they send a crew, and they'll send videotapes throughout the day. They'll post them on their Facebook and everything, and then they'll have live around noon, and maybe around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they'll have another one update in which they're interviewing different veterans that are out there. Word of mouth, and like a lot of our new volunteers now have been on the honor flight. Maybe in the past couple of years, they want to bring what they can do and spread the word themselves. I just talked to a gentleman today. He says, I'm talking to my brother-in-law. I want him to experience this, or what is called the the Penguin flight, which that flight does not go to Washington, D.C. That is done everything here in Peoria. And this is for a lot of the veterans say it's too long of a day. My health won't let me do this, or I have a mobility issue. It's just too rough. So this Penguin kind of filled in to where they get a shirt and a hat. They have a breakfast for them. We have a medical team. We provide wheelchairs, the oxygen that they need. They're diabetic, need insulin. You bring it, we'll take care of it. And we'll check on you throughout the day. And the spouses can go on this Penguin flight, and they'll go to the Peoria Civic Center. They'll sign in just like they do at the airport. They'll have their picture taken with their guardian, breakfast. The buses come in. They all will kneel down. We get a police escort, and we get a motorcycle escort. First place is the Peoria County Courthouse, and their American Legion Post number 2 will explain all the different memorials there. We'll motorcade out to the Air National Guard. We have a group picture taken with a C-130. We'll go inside for a sit-down catered lunch. After lunch, there'll be some different display tables. The pilots will come out, the flight crews. They'll give a tour of a C-130. There's a Chinook helicopter set there. Their flight crew is there. And last year we had the small Vietnam traveling wall that came through East Peoria. Then we go back to the Civic Center. Everybody's lined up. They get the same welcome home as they do at the airport. The Patriot Riders are there to greet them. We have the Celtic bagpipes and the drummers there. They're done by 4:30 in the afternoon, and they'll have their family and friends. There'll be over 500 people there at the.
Amazing! That's terrific. That's really great, Bob. Absolutely wonderful. I know you've been to the flight to the memorials, and what touched you the most emotionally?
Taking into account for just say the World War II memorial, and they have the numbers there. How many men and women sacrificed their lives? When you look at the Korean memorial, this is set up in a static display, all these statues, and they're in a tactical formation. When you look at these, they're 7 feet tall. You're looking at through their eyes. They're looking right back at you. They are staring. It's very moving. If you get to the Vietnam Wall, when you look at that, if you're there on a kind of foggy day or whatever and the lights are on, them names come off the wall and look like they're just floating in the air.
Really?
Very eerie. I've seen men. On one of our flights, he had a lot of pent up emotions, and everybody says, we got to get this guy on a flight. He came back. He said, Bob, I left my demon at the wall. Now he talks to people about it, talks to his he's got a grandson who's going to be going into the Army. So he was able to heal himself. We have a lot of veterans that come back with like something's been lifted from them. When they come down that ramp, are greeted by these Patriot Riders. They're all veterans themselves. And when you can look and see this veteran and that person sticks out their arm and say, welcome home, brother. We got your 6. You will see that person change right there. And you'll see tears come down. You'll see them just have a small smile on their faces. Then when they meet their loved ones, it's amazing. There's not a dry eye out here when they come back that night. And it's so powerful. Now we do have shuttle buses that are running from SEPQ. They started running about 7:30 at night to bring people over here, and they'll be here till the last person leaves as a courtesy because there's not enough parking out here. And people will even bring lawn chairs to sit because they got their special place that they want to sit at.
It's amazing that you and so many other volunteers have put this together as a way of expressing appreciation for the dedication and the service of the men and women who have done so much to make this country the great country that it is, and sharing those personal stories really I don't mind telling you, touched my heart to know that there is therapeutic value to these trips to Washington, D.C. and the memorials as well. God bless you for what you do, my friend.
Well, God bless all of you there, and thank you for the phone call. And we got one that said one more flight. That's in November 4th, and that flight is already full.
No
So
kidding.
what people need to do is get online, fill out an application. You can do it over the computer through our website. I've got hundreds and hundreds of cards, business cards that are floating around, and I will ask somebody, how'd you get my name? Well, I knew a guy that lived over here, and he had your card. Okay, I'll sign you up. So we don't need to see a DD Form 214 or anything like that.
Well, you're an amazing man. How many volunteers do you think are involved in the honor flight?
Oh, well, last night, we had probably, between last night, today, and tonight, we'll probably have another 25 to 30 extra volunteers.
It's amazing. God bless you for what you do, my friend.
Oh, God bless all of you. Thank you for the phone call.
You bet. Have a great day. Thanks, Bob Marine.
All of you. Thank you.
bet.
Bye.
You know, it's so great to hear stories. And when he told the story about how that veteran left the demons in Washington, D.C., it makes you feel glad that in some way, shape, or form, we're involved in helping those people learn about the flight, and we'll continue to do it. And I think he said, I'm surprised, a flight in November, and already full.
Already full. Now, did Bob start that?
He was an integral part of it. Whether I don't think any one person. That'll be another.
It's a great idea.
Time.
Great idea.
We'll ask Bob to once again explain how it all got started. Good question.
Well, I probably should have asked him.
Yeah. Well, we asked quite a few questions for that matter. Well, thanks for coming in and helping us fill out. Our sports guy apparently forgot. He forgot last week, and I didn't have the nerve to wake him up. And
That's
Terry
all right.
said, "Hey, I'll wake up Terry."
I was half awake. I sleep with one eye anyway. You never know.
Yeah, you're right. Boy, you're right
Always
about that for sure. Typically, what time do you go to bed
You
at
know,
night?
it depends. I'll run the
Does
gambit.
it depend on what's on TV or
I'm
what
not
your
a
day
big,
was like?
TV. The only thing I'm a Netflix or a Prime, a documentary
Are you
or a
really?
movie. I don't watch regular TV.
I don't either, except for sporting events
It's I'm not a
and
sports
some
guy.
news programs.
I
But
watch a couple
I'm
of
like
sports
you.
things, but I don't.
How about you, Terry? I know you watch Jeopardy every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I record it so I can.
You
listen to-
record? Wow.
So I
Okay.
listen to the commercials.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you can't understand a response, so I back it up. Like, what was the answer? What did they say?
See, I can only get one, maybe two of those. I can't get that many. So if I watch that show, I just feel stupider.
Well, see, that's why I don't watch. She watches because she's good. You tried out to
probably
be
answer
on
all
Jeopardy.
those-
I did
didn't
try
you?
out,
She
yes.
was a tryout for it,
wow.
so she's into it. I have a similar mindset that you do. Is if I watch that and they throw the question up on the screen, then I immediately, and I don't have it. I said, "Why am I watching
I know.
this?" And the
I
last
know.
thing,
It's like-
the last thing I want to
feel
do
so dumb.
is remind myself that the old saying, education is what you remember after you've forgotten what you've learned. So, well, we have a caller
How'd you
who
remember that?
apparently wants to be on Jeopardy. Good morning.
If you want to get... Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, what's on your mind?
It's Kevin.
Oh!
I didn't recognize his voice either. Kevin, we didn't recognize your voice. Sorry, are you on a different phone or something?
No, I've reverted back to puberty. My voice must be cracking.
I had no idea who it was.
I should have known, but I was so caught up, and also because of my age, which is
well,
more
that'll happen,
important. That is, I had no idea who it was.
I didn't recognize the voice.
Boy, how soon we forget.
So, hey, thanks for calling. What'd you need?
Yeah, I've got nothing on my mind.
All right, can you hold on while we quickly do headlines?
Sure.
All right, thanks. Let's shorten the headlines if you don't mind, Terry. Oh, I feel so embarrassed. At any rate, welcome to the club, Roger. Bob Manning presents our news and our interview, by the way, with Kevin Sullivan. He's Senior Vice President Financial Advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley in Peoria. Bob Manning, one of the really neat guys. You can reach him at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC.
Another Peoria teen has been shot. The latest victim, 17 years old. He was shot on the city's south side in the 2800 block of West Hay Street shortly after 6 p.m. last evening. He was taken to OSF St. Francis Medical Center. His condition was unknown at airtime. Also unknown is who shot him and why. Peoria County officials report the death of a man Saturday who was helping to cut down a tree in the 600 block of North Hilltop Road near Farmington Road. Peoria Sheriff Chris Watkins said Orrin Burgess of Creve Coeur was hit in the head by a large limb that had just been cut down by another worker at a nearby tree. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. The government shutdown continues after Senate Democrats again blocked a Republican proposal to end the deadlock. The vote was 52-42 on a House stopgap funding bill. The measure needed 60 favorable votes. That makes 5 rejections of efforts to reopen the government. A female journalist was arrested by police in Portland after she reported she was attacked by Antifa members during a riot in that city. However, police charged her with disorderly conduct, though she displayed bruises and lacerations from the physical attacks she received. This is the third news person arrested by Portland police. Nick Sorter, a conservative journalist, was charged with disorderly conduct recently, but charges were dropped. Portland police refused to arrest anyone after another conservative reporter, Andy Nogo, was brutally assaulted by Antifa protesters in 2019. And as we just talked with Bob Reed, another honor flight left Peoria Airport this morning, and he said they were a little bit of a rain delay, but it let up enough. They got everybody loaded,
Yonder.
and they are off to Washington.
All right, and now we'll have a check of the weather, and the weather this morning is brought to you by Spoon River Home Health. Over 30 years of caring for people in need in the city and the country. They're available 24/7, and you can learn more on the internet at spoonriverhomehealth.com.
Little rainy this morning, Howard. Where did that come from? Roger. Who the hell's Howard?
That's okay, Fred.
I don't know how that. Wow, our minds are really
deteriorating.
Little rain this morning, but then it's going to clear up. It'll be kind of a nice day today. Little sunshiny out there. High 68 tonight. Clear. 47 tomorrow, sunny and pleasant. It'd be about 69. And right now, and I was just looking. See, I was trying to do two things at once. I was just looking to see what our crawl says here. Because last one I have is 61. 59. So it went down a couple degrees. But so it's going to be kind of nice today.
Okay, there you have the weather, and we continue on Breakfast with Howard and Friends. And on the line is...
I think Larry's on the line.
Good morning, Kevin. Once again.
Good morning, Howie.
I don't know why.
I don't know why I love you like I do, but I do. At any rate, talk about the Insurrection Act. We're really getting into the weeds legally and judicially. But let's face it, this president isn't going to let J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson push the president of the United States around.
Well, you know, the Insurrection Act goes back to 1807, and it was really originally enacted when we were having all kinds of lingering problems with Great Britain and England, whatever. But what it does is it allows the president, without the authority or the permission of a governor, to send troops to an area where there is an insurrection or things are otherwise out of control. Now, when you look at the definition of insurrection, it's been defined a number of ways. As I understand it, in the last few days, federal judge in California has entered an injunction stopping the National Guard from coming into California. Judge in Oregon has done the same thing. It's pending. The same issue is pending in Chicago. You know, fast forward or fast backward to a year or more ago, and those injunctions might have applied across the country. But now the law is a little bit different, so it only applies to their individualized territory or their district. But what it does is, you know, there's the Posse Comitatus Act, and that is kind of, it doesn't let the president send in the Guard to necessarily enforce the laws, act as a police officer, police agency. So this is, and the Posse Comitatus Act was kind of enacted to, I think, kind of support, if not, you know, strengthen or differentiate between the Insurrection Act. And so,
Kevin, wait, where does that come from? It sounds like a foreign language or something. What is that, a name? Or where did that?
Posse Comitatus.
Well,
yeah, Posse Comitatus.
Posse means the people of the county. That's a Latin term. And you hear about like a sheriff's posse, you know, volunteers that help. It's the same thing, really. And so that's where you cannot federalize troops to act as state or local police officers. Okay. But in this case, if there is a national emergency, if there is a crisis, the president determines that the states are either unable or unwilling to handle and resolve. The law allows him to dispatch the Guard to a particular area, whatever that, if it's a city, county, state, what have you. You know, and now you've got federal judges that are saying, no, we can't do that. There's also what they call the Presidential Emergency Act. And the president, as the chief executive officer of the country, especially on a very short notice, has at least 137 executive powers that he can do without any sort of check or balance, without any congressional approval, because which makes sense. If you get a situation that comes up, let's say Congress is in recess, and there's a crisis, whether it's health care, whether it's foreign, whether it's domestic, you know, whether if it's you know, nuclear, whatever the crisis may be, the president, somebody has to act quickly, because if you put it out there and have to wait for a committee and for a vote, bring Congress back from all 50 states, you know, by that time there could be irreversible damage. You've got to have the ability to have somebody step in and handle things on a moment's notice. So you know, so you've got all these conflicting laws at this point in time. I'm guessing what you're going to see is these cases are going to probably be fast-tracked, like everything else in this situation, up to the higher courts. Now, you know, the federal judge in California, the federal judge in Oregon, those cases will go to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals because they're neighboring states. And the Ninth Circuit has a reputation for being very, very liberal. And I'm expecting that they will uphold those injunctions at this point in time. Now, coming out of Chicago, I expect they're going to have a decision on the same thing, you know, within the next day, two, maybe. I think it's going to depend upon the federal judges in Chicago are historically not as left-leaning as those on the left coast. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially if you get a conflict from what the judge in Chicago says compared to what they say. But there's no question this situation is going to land itself on the laps of 9 Supreme Court justices sometime this year. And what they normally will do, because they're known to kick the can down the road, they will probably decide first if an injunction is appropriate or not, send the case back to every applicable circuit and say, okay, now you guys got to try the case. Now you've got to develop the case. You've got to give us more facts. You've got to give us statistics on what's going on in your communities, the level of violence, what the police are doing or not doing, what can they do? Are they undermanned? Are they just unwilling? And there's reports I know that, for example, ICE they're out of Broadview, Illinois, but now Chicago and state police have been advised, do not help, do not participate, do not make any arrests. Basically do the opposite of what ICE is trying to do up there. And, that's going to be interesting. I think that's very bad form on the part of the state politicians. And you look at, whether you look at Chicago, and of course Trump called it the most dangerous city in the world. That's a little bit of hyperbole, I'm sure, but it's still a pretty dangerous place when you think about the number of murders, the number of shootings. I mean, and all the politicians up there are saying, we don't have a problem, nothing wrong up here, and I agree with the president, one death, is too many. And, look at the problem we're having on a local basis in the Peoria area, and I know the police are diligently doing everything they can, everything they think they should to try to get this, the situation under control, but it seems to be proliferating. It seems to be getting worse by the week at this point in time, and something's got to give, I think, until somebody driving up and down Knoxville maybe takes a stray bullet and gets killed, and there's going to be an uprising. So, I think not that the people that have been injured or killed don't deserve the same credit, but sometimes they probably put themselves in harm's way. Still doesn't justify a bullet to the head.
Kevin, somebody suggested, I think it was on Fox, that there's a possibility that the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, who has really had some very inflammatory language, almost could be charged with inciting a riot or disorder. That would be a stretch, and you wouldn't hear the end of it if he were charged with it. But I don't understand why he doesn't tone his rhetoric down.
Well, I think it becomes, in his case, politics over substance, because supposedly he's very interested in running for president. Every time he has his mug on TV or on the radio, he's making news one way or another. But I think, from what I've seen and what I've heard, and I know a lot of people in Chicago, I think he's tending to lose the voting public a little bit up there. Surprisingly, even the people on the south side of Chicago that are tired of the way things are up there and realize that what he is doing is taking steps backwards, not forward, to cure the problem. And they don't have enough police officers in Chicago. They don't have enough police officers in the state of Illinois. And, why not ask for the help? And, that also begs the question, in California some months ago, President Trump ordered the Guard to come in to protect federal properties. And all I saw on TV was the National Guard set up surrounding or outside federal courthouses, federal detention centers, federal buildings, really, in general. And they were passive. They weren't doing anything. They were trying to be a deterrent, thwart any threat against any such building. And they were minding their own business. And it worked, okay? There was not... But, now the question also becomes, who really has jurisdiction over that building? Is it the local people? Is it the state people? Or is it the federal? And when you get a federal building, even though it's located within a given state, I believe that is somewhat of like an island, and I think the federal government and the president has the ultimate authority over that, as opposed to the state governor.
Hey, Kevin, the Posse Comitatus Act was 1878. Before that, there was the Insurrection Act of 1807, which kind of says that federal troops can be used for federal law enforcement or to suppress rebellions. So did this new act, newer, the 1878, did that take over from the Insurrection Act? Or
No,
is
I
the
don't
Insurrection
think it
Act still applicable here?
The Insurrection Act is still applicable, and I think what they're talking about now is, you know, if you've got an uprising, let's call it that instead of an insurrection, that a state cannot handle.
Well, that's what's going on, right? They're having a hard time handling their crime. Right?
I certainly think so.
Well, yeah,
you know, seems to me that is.
Yeah.
So the president can call in the guard if the state is unwilling or unable to do something about the uprising, and they can, as I read that act, that allows them to come in and quell that uprising, remain until that uprising is done. But I don't believe under the Posse Comitatus Act that they can then stay and act as police officers. That's still left for the locals in this situation. And again, you know, mix in, you've got jurisdictional issues and you've got the Presidential Emergency Powers Act. You know, it's kind of complicated. This is probably a great opportunity for Congress to get together and say, here, we've got these 4 different legal theories as to what can and can't be done. Why not let's come up with legislation making it just crystal clear under in this situation or under these circumstances.
You know, interesting. They're looking, and I really applaud the Trump administration for their commercials they're running on television, including urging illegals to voluntarily leave the country with their support and financially support. And now ICE agents, that department, that category of government service, are offering, they want more agents, and they're offering a $50,000 bonus for signing up. If somebody wants to suddenly increase their financial worth, join ICE. Granted, your life are at risk, but that shows you how desperate the government is in recruiting more people to serve with ICE.
Do you have to be a citizen to do that? You have to be.
I think that would help.
Okay.
They probably.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can swear in an illegal to take that job.
Okay. Okay. Just wondered.
Well, thank you for that stupid question, but nonetheless. Well, in your opinion, to kind of summarize where we are today in this country with what's going on, it just seems like we're heading down the wrong road, and I know I've talked to other people too, very concerned about what is down the road if we don't get a detour or a blockade.
There's a lot of slippery slopes going on out there.
I totally agree. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, you know, I think that this is a crisis that really transcends, or it should transcends politics. You know, you're talking about life and death. You're talking about, you know, I don't know. I don't want to be an exaggerist, but you know, is this approaching, you know, maybe like it was back in the days of the Civil War? Because it's like us versus them, and this is a solvable problem if everybody could get together. Because who is in favor of violence, criminal behavior, creating damage and havoc in society? And I think that, you know, until there's consequences, and until there's a unified front, I think it's going to deteriorate. It's spilling into the streets. It's spilling into otherwise very calm, peaceful neighborhoods. It's affecting every aspect of commerce. It's influencing travel, you know, business. It's the amount of money being spent to enforce the laws, to do what they've got to do once they do catch somebody, if they are, you know, as they do all the time, I think, but we don't hear about it. The planes are leaving here with deportees on it. You know, how much that cost the people. I think that they've got to come together. And I think, you know, ultimately, I think what's going to happen sooner rather than later is you're going to find a declaration from the Supreme Court that's going to give everybody the guidance they need. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't know what the Supreme Court will do, but I think it's going to end up in, again, as I said, their lap, and I think they're going to have to say, okay, here's what the law is, and here's the circumstances that support why we say this is what the law is going forward, what a president can and cannot do, define what the emergency situation is that are available, and then, and here's what the Guard or the military can do.
Your comments before we let you get away about the liberal judge handing down a 8-year sentence for a guy who was planning to kill a Supreme Court judge, Brett Kavanaugh. Any thoughts you have?
Well, it's, and I've been a big advocate that judges should have discretion. For example, we've talked a lot about the Safety Act, cashless bail, and that takes away the discretion of judges, and it's either all or nothing at this point in time. And, there's also other types of cases in the state of Illinois, criminal cases, where if somebody is charged and convicted of a certain offense, they have to go to prison. There's absolutely no way around it, despite whatever circumstances, besides their background, besides any disadvantages, maybe a crime-free history, whatever. And I think judges have to have that discretion. What this judge was thinking, and, for an attempt suicide of a government official, I believe carries up to life in prison. And, and this guy terrorized not just Justice Kavanaugh and his family, but their entire neighborhood for a while. And, I obviously I would be very disappointed with that sentence. He'd have to serve 85% of it under the federal rules. But, again, it's inexplicable, and we see all the time on the news, and we've talked about it, what some of these judges are doing, because it is political. In this case, I got to believe politics entered into it. Look at the judges that have been involved in the trials involving President Trump, during the last 4 years, and where they came up with things, you never know. And, that's why we have an appeal process, hopefully, and it takes politics and puts law back into place.
Yeah. I thought I saw or heard that prosecutors were going to appeal the sentence. Is that possible? I didn't know once the judge issued a sentence, that was it, and it's done and it's over with.
Yes, the prosecution can appeal a sentence. What happens in, let's say, a criminal case? Let's say a person is charged with a crime and goes to trial, whether he's in a state court or a federal court. Let's say that person's found not guilty. There is no appeal from that because of double jeopardy. They've already been found not guilty. You can't get a second bite at the apple under those circumstances. A sentence is different. And if the government, in this case, believes the judge did not follow the statute, and in terms of what the numbers are, what the sentencing range, if the judge did not follow the guidelines for sentencing, which is a separate statute, and did not correctly apply what they call the United States sentencing guidelines, they can then appeal that and have an appellate court review it and say, this judge abused his discretion, this person should have had 14, not 8 years, what have you. It's not that common to happen, but I've seen it happen and I've read about it. And I believe they've got a certain amount of time to file their notice of appeal. They may go back in front of the same trial judge, asking him to reconsider his decision. I don't think he's, knowing what I know, he's going to change his mind. Then it goes up to the appellate court. And that probably, I think, would probably be in, I'm not sure which court of appeals it will be. That will not be a case, in my opinion, that will make it to the Supreme Court, because it doesn't have that widespread implication. This thing doesn't happen very often. This sort of activity doesn't happen very often. And they're going to say we're going to concentrate with what we, within our limitations, on more national relevant and more, heavy implicating type cases.
Yeah. Could the appellate court sentence say, you know what, the trial judge was a Democrat appointed by Joe Biden. Her name is Deborah Boardman. Could the appellate court say, no, you really erred. We're going to charge him a sentence of 25 years in prison. Can they do that, or would they just rule that was too lax, you need to review and change the sentence?
The answer to your question is yes. They could come up with their own number based on their analysis of the statutes and the guidelines. But what they typically do in these situations is to send it back down to the trial court with some guidelines and say, okay, Judge, you need to look at this, you need to look at this, you need to look at this, you ought to get more facts on this issue, you need to explore this. So we're going to vacate the sentence and remand it, send it back to the trial judge, the district judge, for more a further hearing to determine really what the correct sentence should be if they consider the things we're telling it to. And then it goes back down there. You know, now do you have a judge that's going to say, okay, well, maybe I made a mistake, I was too lenient, I'm going to go up to 12 years, 14 years, or you're going to see a judge say, well, the heck with the Court of Appeals, I'm sticking at 8 because I'm right and they're wrong. You know, now we're back into a tug of war that'll probably go right back up to that Court of Appeals, and then they're going to take more drastic action.
Could the Court of Appeals, in their written reply, say, you idiot?
Well,
They could.
well, can the Court of Appeals do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Has it done it before? Yes. There was and I'll tell you, there was a prolific writer on the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals in Chicago, Judge Posner, and he was known for really having outlandish comments. He didn't duck any controversy. And he would, when you issue an opinion, let's say it's 20 pages of writing, and it explains the facts, it explains the law from that Court of Appeals. I've seen him criticize judges, and he said about one judge who was a district court judge, he said in that judge's court, it's a law-free zone, which was a real slam on the trial judge. But I've seen him criticize a judge and put in his opinion a cartoon of an ostrich sticking its head in the sand.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. You know, and he was really, you know, you knew where you stand with this judge. And he's one of those judges that when you go up to Chicago and you're preparing for an oral argument and you're sitting there waiting your turn and you see him come out on the bench, you're thinking, ooh, this may not be a good day, you know, because he was really rough on lawyers. He didn't hold back, let's put it that way. I was up there years ago on a case. I was arguing a criminal case. I was waiting my turn, and a friend of mine was a Chicago attorney, was in the case ahead of mine, and here comes Posner out on the bench, and he wasn't the only one up there that acted that way. He comes out and he says to this attorney, did you file your certificate of interest as part of your legal brief? This was a brand new rule that talked. Basically, it's about 3 lines you have to put in in your legal brief when you file it, and it was new. And this attorney said, "Judge, I wasn't aware of it." Okay, you're going to be sanctioned $1,250. And I'm like, you know, I'm sitting there wanting to get up and run out in the hallway and start looking at my brief, making sure I've got mine on file. Thank God I did. But you know, that when that happens, it kind of throws you off on your game plan.
Yeah, and I also remind everybody about the federal judge in Boston suffering from dementia, wrote a 161-page rebuke just filled with inflammatory and negative rhetoric, very personal against Donald Trump. And he must have been, you know, you've heard of poison pen letters. This was a poison pen judgment against the President of the United States. So they can get
well, you know,
irritating.
Well, this was Judge William Young,
Yeah.
and he was a Reagan appointee. So we know he's been on the bench for 40 years, and just that bench for 40 years. You know, what did he do before that? You know, normally you don't get out of law school and become a judge. So he's probably, quite a mature person, I guess, at this point, or seasoned, or whatever you want to call
Quite
it.
a mature person.
Wow.
There's some lawyer
in
speak.
terms of age, well, in terms of age, not necessarily cognition, but you know, that's exactly what the court system is designed not to do. You know, you're not to make it personal. What you typically want to do is you want to rule. If somebody made a mistake or a judge says so and so was wrong, you do it in a objective, maybe constructive fashion, and say, well, we believe that this person did this and they did it wrong, but they did it try to do it for the right reasons. You know, you don't like this go on this monologue for 100 and some pages, you know, about what an awful person the president is, because it destroys your credibility as a judge, and it certainly, in my opinion, reduces the, I guess, the effectiveness or the credibility of the opinion or the ruling that he made, and that will give that appellate court out in the Massachusetts area plenty of fodder to come back and say, here's what we're going to do. We're reversing this case and we're sending it back to a different judge.
Yeah. I think he would have felt a lot better if he had taken some Metamucil. I think that, never mind.
We had a William,
Well, I think
we had a William Young as a judge here in town, didn't we?
sure did. He was a longtime judge in Peoria County. He was appointed in around 1970, and I think he served until about 1995. A great guy, really a nice guy.
Oh, he was a super. He lived in my neighborhood. I went to school with his son, Brian.
Well,
he was a
and
big
he also
basketball
had
star
a
at
son,
Central.
Absolutely. Kevin, he had a son, Kevin, too.
Yes, yes.
Well, we can't forget Kevin, and that's a very important name. Well, it's been a pleasure as always, Howie, talking to you about legal things. And let's all take a shot of Prevagen and see if we can do a better job tomorrow.
How about a combination of Prevagen and Metamucil?
There you go.
That's what is known as coming and going. Anyway, thanks, Kevin. Have a great day.
You
See you,
too.
Kevin.
Talk to you tomorrow. Yep.
Hey, Kevin Sullivan. I tell you what, people ask me, how long you going to do this? And I said, as long as we keep laughing.
Forever.
You know, yesterday was groundbreaking. I mean, that was, I had so many people say, you ought to listen to that again. Maybe that will tell you it's time for you to quit.
Nobody wanted to put us in jail?
No. News, weather, sports, and a little humor as well coming up next on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois, and also on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube.
When I came in, really? I mean, it was wet. It wasn't raining that much.
It wasn't raining.
Not that much, but it's wet.
Well, it was a lot different when we got here, wasn't it, Terry?
Yes.
It was raining cats and dogs.
Yeah, I heard it this morning. I heard a lot of thunder
Thunder,
Yeah.
lightning, you name
4
it.
a.m. Yeah.
That's right. And any rate, let's get into the news brought to you by our friends, and we have a lot of friends on this program, as a matter of fact. And our friends are those people whose script I haven't found yet.
We've been handing scripts back and
Yeah,
forth all morning. I don't know.
Yeah, let's
what's
see.
going
This
on
one's.
Is this the bell tower thing or the watchtower? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
What's it?
Well, first of all, it says the Germans are coming. The Germans are coming.
No, that's the old
No,
script.
that's the old
an
script.
old script.
We'll have a check of the weather brought to you by our friends at Hometown Community Banks,
That's the one.
division of Morton Community Bank.
the one.
Look for the clock tower, and you'll know they have time for you. member FDIC. How about the weather?
A little rainy this morning. It'll clear up though, and it'll be kind of a nice day. A little windy outside, but high about 60. Tonight clear, 47 for the low. Tomorrow sunny and pleasant. 69 Thursday, sunny and 70. Friday 74 and 79 on Saturday. So nice weather coming up here. Right now, I think it's around 59, 60ish out there.
All right, we'll take that as good weather. And let's get into the news. And the news this morning brought to you by Spoon River Home Health. Been around since 1993, providing home health care. Locally owned and operated, Spoon River Home Health. They're available 24/7 at 245-0723. And I don't mind telling you on a personal note, they are very dear friends. Spoon River, the staff there took care of my mother when she fell ill, and then my father, and later my late wife. These are wonderful people. I don't mind mentioning a personal endorsement of Spoon River. And I have a great affection for Terry Chamberlain as she gives the news this morning.
Thank you, Roger. Another Peoria teen has been shot. The latest victim, 17 years old, was shot on the city's south side in the 2800 block of West Hayes Street shortly after 6 p.m. last night. He was taken to OSF St. Francis Medical Center. His condition was unknown at airtime. Also unknown is who shot him and why. What is known is a shot spotter alert recorded a total of 12 shots fired.
You know, it's got to be a gang thing, right?
Yeah. And you know, when you have young kids, 14, 15 years of age, carrying a gun that's automatic, you pull that trigger. You know more about guns than I do. But next thing you know, just with a touch of the I don't believe.
Not automatic.
Not automatic?
No, it's there's
In
still
other words,
somebody.
you got to pull the
gotta
trigger
pull the trigger
every
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Okay.
But you
But
pull
there
the
are
trigger pretty
weapons.
fast.
Well,
you know.
well, as they say, what, hair trigger, finger?
Yeah, you can pull it. I mean, you
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just
you just
unbelievable.
you don't know about the finger.
I thought
Get that finger out of your ear. You don't know where that finger's been.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know. They're giving us all the finger with all this crazy stuff going on. Peoria police responded to a call of shots fired in the area of Malik and Baskin Ridge yesterday afternoon. They didn't find anything there.
Peoria County officials report the death of a man Saturday who was helping to cut down a tree in the 600 block of North Hilltop Road near Farmington Road. Peoria Sheriff Chris Watkins said Orrin Burgess of Creve Coeur was hit in the head by a large limb that had just been cut down by another worker at a nearby tree. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene.
The government shutdown continues after Senate Democrats again blocked a Republican proposal to end the deadlock. The vote was 52 to 42 on a House stopgap funding bill. The measure needed 60 favorable votes. That makes 5 rejections of efforts to reopen the government. The White House says Democrats refuse to support even a temporary bill to keep government employees on the job.
The riots are growing in number and intensity, especially in Portland, Oregon. In Chicago, and Republicans and some journalists are blaming what they called hateful and insightful rhetoric from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Johnson announced that certain areas of the Windy City cannot be used by ICE agents as they round up criminal illegal immigrants.
More than 800 have been apprehended, including Aldo Bahana of Mexico, who was convicted of murder in 2005 but recently released from Stateville Prison in Joliet. 3 of the arrested charged with sexual abuse of children, and another released multiple times by Cook County officials after convictions for burglary and drug possession.
A female journalist was arrested by police in Portland after she reported she was attacked by Antifa members during a riot in that city. However, police charged her with disorderly conduct, though she displayed bruises and lacerations from the physical attacks she received.
This is the 3rd news person arrested by Portland police. Nick Sorter, a conservative journalist, was charged with disorderly conduct recently, but charges were dropped. Portland police refused to arrest anyone after another conservative reporter, Andy Nagao, was brutally assaulted by Antifa protesters in 2019.
The president says he could invoke the Insurrection Act if the riots and mayhem gets worse in cities like Chicago and Portland. The act gives the president the power to nationally deploy the U.S. military and to federalize National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances, such as the suppression of civil disorder and armed rebellion against the federal government.
That act overrides the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which has been quoted by judges who have been blocking the president's efforts to fight crime in those cities.
And another honor flight left this morning from the Peoria Airport. We talked to Bob Reed, the former Air Force veteran, and he said they got a bit of a rain delay getting everybody on and loaded, but they managed to take off on time. When we spoke to him about 7:15, it was just rolling past the windows and getting ready to take off.
Yeah, and something I remind us, they have another honor flight that's already full, November 4th.
Yeah.
That's just absolutely amazing. God bless them for what they're doing for our veterans who have earned it and well deserved for sure. And now we have more news from WCBU, the most comprehensive news in Peoria radio, right here at 90.7 FM. And brought to you, Kathy Reynolds of Brilliant Real Estate. She is hardworking, and she will help you buy, sell your next home. And she's available 24/7, available as we speak at 309-696-2162. That phone number again, 696-2162.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The head of the Peoria City County Public Health Department wants people to understand the importance of vaccines to the entire community. Administrator Monica Hendrickson says not enough people understand that vaccines intend to help build an immunity to specific diseases and prevent them from becoming contagious.
A lot of the language and the policy is around vaccine about your independent choice to protect yourself, but they fail to realize that the number one job of vaccine is also to protect others.
Hendrickson stressed the safety and effectiveness of vaccines during a teach-in speaker presentation sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Greater Peoria. The Peoria Fire Department says an overnight blaze at the shuttered KFC restaurant in West Peoria was set intentionally, causing an estimated $500,000 in damage. Firefighters responded to the vacant storefront on Western Avenue shortly after 1:30 Monday morning and saw heavy smoke coming from the roof. Crews managed to extinguish the fire within 15 minutes. A department investigator and K-9 determined arson was the cause. The state of Illinois and city of Chicago are suing the Trump administration to block the deployment of National Guard troops over Governor J.B. Pritzker's objections. Capital News Illinois reports Attorney General Kwame Raoul filed the lawsuit this morning after Trump officials over the weekend ordered 300 Illinois National Guardsmen be activated to Chicago. Texas Governor Greg Abbott confirmed he is sending 400 National Guard troops to other states, including Illinois, at the president's request. A new financial analysis by the Chicago Bears shows the team's proposed $5 billion stadium in Arlington Heights would need nearly $855 million in public funding. It's not clear if lawmakers will take up the issue in their upcoming fall session. Asked about the new numbers, Governor J.B. Pritzker says he's open to shelling out some state money towards the stadium infrastructure. However,
what we won't be is an unending hole full of money that is, feeding it to a stadium when we have so many other valuable things that the state should be investing in.
Pritzker says he expects local and county governments to pick up part of that infrastructure tab. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, we have sports this morning, and sitting in for our good friend who happens to be recovering, I believe, from knee surgery. Anyway, we'll get into sports. The Monday night football game featured the Kansas City Chiefs against Jacksonville Jaguars. This was not supposed to be close, but it was. Teams were tied at 14-all in the third quarter. Jacksonville upset the Chiefs, and in the process, Ed Hammond as well, 31-28. He's a big Chiefs fan, and they have lost 3 games and won only 2. Not doing well, but they'll come back. Good football team.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get into baseball. Play ball! And the playoffs continue last night. L.A. was in Philadelphia. It was for a time a scoreless pitcher's duel. A good game to watch if you like scoreless games, and I don't. At any rate, the Dodgers in the end prevailed, winning 4-3. They now have a 2-game lead in the best of 5 game series, so they only have to win one more game. So it looks like the Dodgers are going to move forward. Elsewhere in the National League, the poor Cubs, they were in Milwaukee for a second game in their series after the Brewers won the first contest 9-3 last night. In the early going, the teams were tied at 3. The Cubs jumped out to a 3-0 lead in the first inning, and Milwaukee came back and tied it. But it's over in more ways than one. Milwaukee 7, Chicago 3. The two teams have today off. They play tomorrow in Wrigley Field, starting at 4 in the afternoon. Cubs have to win, as the Phillies do, or it's all over. American League playoff games resume today with an afternoon game between Detroit and Seattle. That series tied at a game apiece. The Yankees host Toronto, the Blue Jays, 7 p.m. Toronto leads in that series 2-0, and of course that's a must-win for the Yankees if they want to stay alive. That's a look at football and baseball, and in case you missed it, the St. Louis Blues shut out the Chicago Blackhawks Saturday for a zip, and it looks like once again the Blackhawks going to be a long season for them. And there you have it. News, weather, sports, all neatly put together as a package, and what we affectionately refer to as Breakfast with Howard and Friends. On,
I don't know where that came from.
I don't know where that came from at all. Are you on medicine?
No, I'm not.
Do you think you should be?
No, well, I probably should be.
Terry's had enough of it. She got up and left.
She said, heck with it, I'm out of here.
She apparently has been called for jury duty.
She's been called for a very important job.
Is it a grand jury?
Yeah, she's been asked to maybe sit on a grand jury.
That could be for a while.
I don't know how many weeks that is. It's not a one-shot deal.
No.
You know, they sit and they hear all the nitty-gritty stuff and decide on who gets, I guess, arrested.
Have you ever served on a jury?
I have. I have.
Tell us about it. We got 45 minutes to kill. So
it was a little rough. It was
rough in what way? What kind of a case was it?
This guy had physically, sexually, mentally abused this woman.
Okay.
It was terrible.
So you had to sit and listen to...
Yeah, we had to sit and listen to some pretty gory stuff, and it went on for days. He held her captive for days, and it was horrible. And
what was he charged with?
Oh, everything. I mean,
following too closely?
Yeah, everything. And kidnapping, and it was horrible. And the guy, I don't know why, I almost said I don't want to be involved in this because of this. Because I walk into the jury box and stuff, and this guy's sitting there, and I can see the prosecuting attorney, and there's no attorney there, and I thought, oh, don't tell me, this guy represented himself.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a really, really bad idea.
Wasn't it really somewhat of a comedy, though? Or was it so serious that you found a little humor in it?
It was sometimes hard to stay awake. The judge did a phenomenal job.
Who was the judge? Your brother?
I know you were going to ask me. No, he'd retired.
Come in.
I knew you're. He'd come back to fill in. Oh, Kevin would know who he is. He was on the bench, and he came to fill in with some backlog stuff. I want to say it was a Cusack, maybe. No. Well, I can't remember.
Well, anyway,
but he was very fair.
But he was good.
And then, but I had kind of a little screw up, which was when we got the case, we went back in the jury room, and they appointed me. I don't know why, the jury person.
Well, I have a feeling about that because body language means a lot. And you don't have a lot of hair, so as a result, people think you're an egghead. And eggheads. No, I'm not being personal. Usually means somebody who's very intellectual, and so they took a look at your head, saw there was a road map on top of it that somebody had drawn, and said, we want him to be foreman. So you were elected foreman.
I think they liked the jokes. Everybody in there was nervous, and I wasn't
and
nervous.
In
front of 12, 13 people, I'm nervous. Give me a break.
Yeah.
So I got elected as
over.
Jury chairman.
Yeah.
And
did you use any hypnosis?
No, I didn't. No,
okay.
No. But we had an initial vote, and one gal was no. Everybody else was yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So we talked about it, let other people talk. I said, well, let's eat, because they said, if you can't figure something out, we'll bring in lunch. Yeah. And I felt like a gondola, and that's what they were going to bring in. So I said, well, let's not make any decisions real rash here. Let's have lunch. So they brought lunch in, And anyway, we got 100% to vote on the deal, and they gave me 2 pieces of paper. One was guilty, and I signed the top, and then all the jurors signed, and one was not guilty, and I signed it, and everybody signed it. So when everybody said, guilty, I took the not guilty one, and I ripped it up. And somebody went, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well," they said, "they told you not to do anything. Just sign the one." I said, "Well, we've got one signed here." So we signed the guilty one, and we left, and I gave the bailiff
The pieces of paper.
the piece
you
of
tore
paper
out.
and the other one, and the judge went, "Oh my." And so he had to sit there. It took him about 5 minutes.
To put it together.
Yeah, he said, "Can somebody bring me a roll of tape?" And he's,
Are you serious?
yes, I am.
Man.
I was pretty
That-
red-faced and
how-
embarrassed at that
yeah,
point.
Yeah. How many days did he give you?
I know. He was very nice about it, but boy, I was burning up. I was sitting in that box I could just feel the heat. I was so embarrassed.
So embarrassed,
Yeah. I figured we weren't going to use it. Why didn't sorry, you can't rip that up. So then he had to tape it all together and then show it to the guy.
That is actually a funny story.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. But,
Well, I've mentioned this story. I served
what'd you do?
on a jury, and I didn't want to serve, first of all.
Why?
And
Why? Why
I
didn't you
had
want to
other things to do. And,
because of time
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. As I recall, I was working at Methodist Hospital, and
You
you
were getting
you
paid.
don't exactly. Yeah, you're right.
See,
you're
I wasn't
right,
getting
yeah.
paid. I was self-employed, so no one was paying me to be there. But anyway.
Well, but you do get jury pay. You did get some jury
yeah,
pay.
like
yeah.
$10 or
Yeah,
$8 or something for a day.
Exactly right. But it was a shoplifting case, and it was it should have been in a lower court or something. I don't know why. It was a full-fledged jury with a
trial?
trial.
Wow.
Yeah.
What'd they shoplift? Like a
Well,
car?
the woman had a piece of meat. And yeah, it worth I think $8 or $9.
It was a jury trial.
And it was a jury trial. Yeah, she demanded a jury trial, and when I'm trying, the judge was a female judge, well known.
Frank or Rebecca.
Yes, Rebecca. What? Rebecca.
Franklin.
No, it wasn't Franco.
She
It's
was-
on the tip of my tongue.
They were
very well
actors.
known.
Her father acted in
Well,
a lot of plays in town.
Oh. Well, I didn't think that one was a judge. But it was Rebecca anyway.
Yeah.
So she said, "Does anyone feel like they could not serve?" And I said, "Yes, and I guess she had a list of who the people were, and she said, "You are Mr. Roger Monroe," and I said, "Yes." And why do you think, Mr. Monroe, you can't serve? And I said, well, I know the Benny Schwartz family.
It's still from Benny's, okay.
And yeah, it was the Schwartz at the corner of Forest Hill and University. I know all the employees and the manager. And the son lived in our subdivision. And again, due to my inability to retain names, I forget the son's name. Nice guy. And I shop there all the time. So I guess you might say...
you felt a kinship.
Yes, right, without using that word. And she said, "Are you telling me, Mr. Monroe, that you can't sit here with an open mind and hear all the evidence and reach a fair and just decision?" Well, what are you going to
How'd
say?
that make you feel?
Yeah.
You're right, I'm an idiot. I can't do that.
Yeah, yeah. Are you going to say, "Yeah, you're right. I'm a bias
Yeah.
and I'm a bigot," as a matter of fact? And
you could have got away with that, maybe.
I said, since you put it that way, I guess not, Your Honor. Steenrod. Becky
Steenrod, that's it. Remember Jack Steenrod? You used to be in all those
he was a heck of an actor.
Yeah.
Jack Steenrod, and who was the other guy?
Well, Dentino. He worked with Dentino, I'm sure.
Yeah, but there was one other guy who was appeared frequently with Jack Steenrod. At any rate, so we have the trial, and I mean the woman was guilty of sin. I mean, no and ifs or buts to it. The evidence was overwhelming. So we go in to consider the verdict, and fortunately I did not serve as foreman. I wanted to get in and out and not make any enemies in the process. We had 2 women who said not guilty, and they would not budge. And one of them said, well, to be honest with you, I think I had a relative went to jail because the police officer lied, and I know police officers will lie. And I got, as other people did, this isn't about the police, this is about the woman who was caught with the meat that she stole 2 blocks away. And the other woman said she got scared and ran with the meat when police came in. They would not budge from their not guilty.
A hung jury?
And, well, what happened was, I think the foreman said, had told the judge we're having a hard time, and I don't know whether it was a bailiff, somebody came back into the room and said, if you can't reach a verdict, the judge said, you will be dismissed until tomorrow, and you have to come back tomorrow morning and continue deliberations. They changed their vote immediately.
They don't wanna come back.
I don't want to come back, not for what we're doing, guilty. But we don't think she's guilty, but we're going to vote, and that's how we concluded the case.
Times have sure changed now. Now you can go into the grocery stores and steal what you want. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I've seen the video of people, thieves. They do it on a lot on the West Coast, where they come in as a group of people and just grab everything off the racks.
Just walk out.
And employees have been told by the companies don't do anything. Matter of fact, one employee in a store stopped them and they fired that employee.
Yeah. There was, you know, the liquor store over here behind our building here, over off of Sterling.
I
in the
don't
West
drink,
Lake,
so
Benny's.
Benny's. Yeah.
I went in there.
If Benny's doesn't have, it's not worth having.
No, it's a huge liquor store.
No, I know, but that's their tagline.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, if Benny's doesn't have it, you don't need it.
Oh, I didn't know that. But anyway, they when they opened, I went in there, and a friend of mine who's a Peoria police officer was in there, and you know you can hire Peoria police officers in full uniform when they're off duty. You can hire them as guardians, whatever you want to call it, protection. So I walked in and said, hey, how's it going? I said, oh, you got a job standing here at Benny's. What do you do? And he said, you know, that's the craziest thing. He said, my job is to stand here. In fact, they told me when I started, and this guy is a friend of mine, has been a cop for a very long time. He's about 6'6", 6'7". He's a monster. The guy's he's a pretty mean motor scooter. And he said, we got here, and these kids, they work at Benny's, we're in the back room, and said, okay, now you stand here, and if you see somebody steal something or somebody runs out with something that they stole, don't do anything. We'll handle it. We've been trained. He's like, here's this kid telling me this. He said, I've got a gun and handcuffs. I've been a cop for like
you've been
15 years. And he said, I looked at this guy. I said, have you seen my uniform here? I'm carrying the gun. And the guy said, you know, no, you don't do, they were told not to do anything. They're just there so people know that there's a police officer there, but they won't do anything. They won't.
Isn't that interesting?
Maybe we shouldn't report that, but I think the bad guy knows that anyway. But yeah, they're not supposed to do
Did
it.
he say that they had any incidents where he had to stand down?
No, I think it was pretty much deterred. But yeah, they can just. You don't do anything. We've been trained. You've been trained, really? Okay.
Yeah. Talk to a policeman. No, don't do it. We've been trained.
We've been trained already.
You know, interesting. Years ago, Dr. Ken Furlong was our medical director at Methodist. He'd come over from St. Francis. Really a neat guy, very quiet, calm, laid-back type of individual. And he had a sign on the wall. I don't remember exactly what it was, the exact verbiage, but it said something to the effect, we train dogs, but we educate doctors.
Oh, okay.
And in other words, you don't use the word training in education for a doctor. Wow. And I thought that was a pretty clever saying on the wall. Just like one that was in a sack somewhere, somebody sacked it. But I like this. Somebody gave this to me. Your opinion matters. I need to get a little close. Your opinion matters, not to me, but I'm sure to someone somewhere. That's always been one of my favorite, yeah. Well, let's wrap up our final newscast this morning. I get the biggest kick out of computers. You never know what they're going to do. You don't. You think 90% of the time, as an example, the setting on it is exactly what it normally is.
Yep.
And this morning, it is like it's taken Metamucil or something.
They don't have a
it's
mind of their own. They don't. What wasn't it doing, or what did it not do when you did?
Well, sometimes if with the same setting, if you do this, it sounds like this.
Well, you have to push up the thing. Then.
Well, I know, but what I was telling you, that's what it will do sometimes when it's at this position. When it's in that position, which is normal, that's good.
So it'll be in that position, but it still won't play that loud?
Yes, sometimes.
Okay.
It is just, it's like,
okay.
Well, we paid our Ameren bill, and we'll give them a little extra juice.
The squirrels
so
are
to
getting
speak.
tired.
Well, let's get into the news. A little reminder, and this is an important reminder. Enrollment for Medicare coming up beginning the 15th of October
gotta do something
until December 7th. You're on Medicare, are you not?
Yeah, but mine was, the company went broke.
Yeah, that was, don't tell me, wasn't Humana.
No.
It was Health Alliance.
Health Alliance, yeah.
Yeah. And interestingly, my daughter-in-law and my son live in Champaign. She works for Health Alliance and has been told
still?
it's, they've laid some people off. Well, they didn't lay them off, say goodbye. And I think she thinks she has until the end of the year.
And then that's it.
And that's it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of calls.
I'll bet. Well, I'll tell you what, keep this in mind. You can find out information about how to make the switch with Sam Lilly. You know, Sam has been at this for over 40 years. He's an independent broker, and as an independent broker, he's not what they call a captive agent. You know what a captive agent is?
Yeah, they just have to sell their own product.
They have to sell their own product. If you work for State Farm, Country Mutual, or whatever, you only, and I get a big kick out here, I won't say what company it is every now and about a guy, call me and I'll save money. No, you can't save money because you have to sell your product and nobody else's. Whereas someone like Sam Lilly has, as a independent representative or broker, he can shop around and find out the best plan and lay it out for you, or maybe two plans. Say, here, now you decide which one, and I'll tell you the advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
And he knows his business. Sam, Lily, good question. I'm glad you asked that. 309-245-4374.
Roger, another Peoria teen has been shot. The latest victim, 17 years old, was shot in the 2800 block of West Hay Streets shortly after 6 p.m. last evening. He was taken to OSF Hospital. His condition is unknown as of now. Also unknown is who the heck shot him. Peoria County officials report the death of a man Saturday who was helping to cut down a tree in the 600 block of North Hilltop Road near Farmington Road. Orrin Burgess of Creve Coeur was hit in the head by a large part of the limb that his buddy was cutting down. His buddy didn't see him standing there. Mr. Burgess was pronounced dead at the scene. The government shutdown continues after Senate Democrats again blocked a Republican proposal to end the deadlock. The vote was 52-42 on a House stopgap pending bill. They need 60 votes total for that. The riots are growing in number and intensity, especially in Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. And Republicans and some journalists are blaming what they called hateful and insightful rhetoric from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Johnson announced that certain areas of the Windy City cannot be used by ICE agents as they round up illegal immigrants. More than 800 have been apprehended, including Aldo Bahana of Mexico, who was convicted of murder in 2005. 3 others arrested, charged with sexual abuse of children, and another released multiple times by Cook County officials after convictions for burglary and drug possession. A female journalist was arrested by police in Portland after she reported she was attacked by Antifa members during a riot in that city. However, police charged her with disorderly conduct, though she displayed bruises and lacerations from the physical attacks that she received. The president says he could invoke the Insurrection Act if the riots and mayhem get worse in cities like Chicago and Portland. The act gives the president the power to nationally deploy the U.S. military and to federalize National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances, such as the suppression of civil disorder and armed rebellion against the federal government. The act overrides the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, which has been quoted by judges who have been blocking the president's efforts to fight crime in the cities. Another honor flight left this morning at about 7-ish, and that was, I can't remember how many, I forgot to write down.
70, yeah,
70,
said
wow.
71.
71. They'll be back tonight with a
Big
packed
crowd,
group of people to welcome
Isn't
them
that
back.
wonderful?
It's an incredible thing, and they're going to do one more in November. And did he say it was sold out?
Yes.
It's sold out already. So I would imagine they're going to do probably another one then after this sometime. They can't quit.
No, and it's wonderful what they do.
It's just a phenomenal
absolute.
thing.
And everybody comes back tired, worn out, but yet
Tired, worn out, sad, happy, energized.
energized.
A lot of emotions.
Yeah, you bet. All right, let's take a look at the weather. And the weather this morning brought to you by Advanced Medical Transport of Central Illinois. In a time of need, AMT will be there, and they're wonderful people, men and women, in a matter of minutes with the most skilled and advanced pre-hospital care possible. Advanced Medical Transport, great organization under the leadership of Andrew Rand, one of the icons of leadership in our community. So proud of him and consider him a good friend. AMT dedicated to providing a better life through better health. Well, we've had some heavy storms. When you drove over, was it in heavy rain?
Wasn't bad. That was about, what was that, 6:37? That was around 7 o'clock.
Look out the window and see what it's
We don't
like.
have a window, Roger.
Well,
I've been
pretend.
asking for one for...
Pretend.
Well, it looks like it's starting to clear up a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's
I'll play
supposed to.
along.
Gradual clearing with some sunshine and a high of 68.
that might be the sun
You know,
coming
it
out.
takes a little imagination to get along in this world. Overnight low
Radio of the
47.
mind.
Tomorrow, sunny and pleasant, 69. Thursday, we're at 70, 74 on Friday, 79 on Saturday.
Beautiful
and
weather.
Right, you know, we're at 59
Well,
degrees.
ish.
I hope could we have a little music?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What are we going to do now?
Where we're going to dance. Okay.
Okay, I'm leading.
Kind of smooth, yeah. You have something that's a little too mellow.
Yeah, that's not
yeah.
put me to sleep.
Let's try this one.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. So happy you could
Very
join us
white.
this morning. Boy, did he have a voice?
Yeah, he did. Are we going to do trivia? You don't, but I get to read.
We already did it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you do it? Well, if you already did it, I'm not going to.
Go ahead and ask the question.
But yeah, well, if you've already did it, 1816.
Yeah, what's the question?
What? These aren't questions. These are just all the answers. So you have to make up a question.
No, you ask the question. What took place?
What took place in October 7th?
Double-decker steamboat arrived in New Orleans.
You cheated.
Well, you said you wanted to read it.
Didn't know. What was it? I didn't hear it. When did you do that? You did that real early this morning?
Yeah, well, we're waiting for you to come.
You were trying to fill hours ago. Jeez. First double-decker steamboat arrives in New Orleans.
That's exactly right.
All right.
See,
well,
I knew the answer to that one.
Well, of course you did. I mean, you can remember stuff for an hour.
No, I can't. I can remember what happened in the Civil War, but
where I went
can't.
last.
Exactly. No. Hey, you have any shows coming up?
I do have a show. I've got 2 shows coming up in the same day. It was kind of a weird thing.
Well, that's a double header.
Yeah,
It's a double-decker steamboat.
It's a double-decker deal, yeah. I got a call to quote this job in the Heights. I guess there's a group of people, what are they called? We Care Day, or oh shoot, I don't remember their name now, doggone it. But they're speech pathologists, and for children.
Okay.
We care, we do sign.
Well, We Care is the transportation system over in Morton. We use them quite a bit.
Yeah, this is
for my wife, but
there's about 30 gals and a guy.
Oh, really?
And they
How do you join?
I don't know.
Well,
You got to have a speech impediment. I think that would help.
Mm-hmm.
Not just a speech impediment, but
No, these people have a variety. Yes, I'm familiar with speech pathologists. They do marvelous. I'll give you a good example. A little bit on the personal side,
Okay.
but nonetheless, my youngest son Zach was diagnosed with cancer of the tongue, and dentists today. Years ago, I don't remember any dentist saying, "Stick out your tongue, let me look at it," etc. But they do now.
Yeah, they'll grab
because
that piece
I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Dr. Rob Wynn of Peoria Dental Care, across the road from where we are, was diagnosed with cancer of the tongue as well, and he's been through a lot of clinical trials and tests with some new medicines, et cetera, and so forth. And he's doing quite well.
Oh, good.
And I think he's even doing a little practice in his dental service. But back to my son, was diagnosed with cancer of the tongue. They took 2 inches of his tongue off, and
on the front,
having in the back of the tongue.
How do you take off the back?
Well, I don't mean let me say the side.
Okay,
the rear side.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Anyway, 2 inches of the tongue.
That's a lot.
No matter what part of the tongue takes a lot.
Doesn't make any difference.
So it affected his speech. So he has been seeing a speech pathologist. Now, I will tell you, and I keep reminding him of it, I said, "Son, you are amazing because you are doing a good job. There's no problem understanding you." And he said, "Well, it is a struggle because it doesn't function the way it used to function,
right?
For obvious reasons." So that's one of the things speech pathologists do is have exercises of the tongue, words and phrases to repeat until you get it exactly right. That means, having the tongue in a certain position behind the teeth, on the side, et cetera, and so forth. So I'm a little familiar with that.
I'd learn sign language, I think.
Well, one of the best ways you can get things communicated is by speech, sign language. Yeah. Virginia White is a specialist. She is called into the emergency room of local hospitals every now and
She's
then.
She's an ASL?
Because there are people who cannot speak and speak sign language. My grandfather immigrated to this country from Hamburg, Germany, was, we used to call it deaf and dumb, which is inappropriate, but was deaf. She was the only one, my mom was the only one who could communicate with him using sign language.
Really?
Dad learned a little bit, but and I knew nothing about it.
I learned a little. I had several deaf employees. I hired several deaf employees when I had a business, and so I had to learn, the language. But it was kind of neat because they brought in there's a huge deaf community in Peoria, but something about the deaf community, they're very shy, and they hide or whatever. They're not.
They're not as outgoing because they recognize, and they shouldn't, that they have a deficiency
Yeah, but it's-
in communication, but it has nothing to do with their intellect
No.
or their ability to do a job.
Absolutely
I
not.
used to work very closely with the Peoria Deaf organization, Peoria, and it was a woman who was the executive director, and we were very dear friends for many, many years. I think she eventually retired, so I don't have the contact with them that I used to. But they used to have an agency on the south side of Peoria.
Yeah, I don't
Where
know.
it's located now, I don't know.
I don't know where they are, and I can't remember the guy's name who ran it, but they actually brought us we had a little TV, and they brought us in this little box, so when our deaf employees first started working for us, to communicate with them, I would call a number and get this gal who then I would talk to, and she'd be on the screen, and then she would interpret. She'd do the sign language
really?
to our employees, and that was all free. That was all, they put all that equipment in for them because we were
Good for
hiring.
them.
Yeah.
When I went down to Jacksonville with another friend, Hugh Carlson, and we put WJIL, a new radio station, on the air, I got acquainted with the community, and they had a school for the deaf in Jacksonville. And they actually, for high school age kids, and they actually had a football team. And don't ask me, I never went to a game, but I would hear about them, and they were very, very good. They were good football players, the kids were, but they all were deaf. And I wonder, how did they communicate
Well, I
a
guess
running play versus a pass,
sign language,
and who was going to be? In baseball and on sports, football as well, they're constantly trying to avoid the stealing of signs. I don't think they would be very good at stealing the signs of the deaf.
Well, there's a major. What's the major university? Gaudat or something. There's a huge major university
for the deaf.
For the deaf. Yeah, I think it's Gallaudet or Gaudat. I can't. It was years ago.
Well, you can Google it when we have our pet tip of the day coming up.
I'll sign it to you.
I know. But I'm going to get back very briefly about my grandfather. He worked for the Peoria Casket Company, and like I say, he was deaf, but he was so lovable. He had a beautiful white mustache, and he was so lovely. Carl Rohde was his name. And as a little kid, I would meet him coming home from work, and he always had a sack of hard candy or chocolate-covered raisins, and he'd pull it out of his pocket and hand it for me to reach in and get. Usually it was a lemon drop, and he would smile and I would smile. But one day, as we learned later, we had trolleys on our end of Peoria. The rest of the city had streetcars. And he was getting off the trolley. You had a door at the front and one at the rear on the side. And because he was elderly, he was 84 when he died, and because he was elderly, he was slow moving. Well, he had gotten off, but he still had his hand on the railing. When they closed the door, the driver drug him for a half a block before other people on the bus said, "Hey, he's still hanging on. You're dragging him." Yeah. So they released it, and they said that he bounced a couple of times, but he got up. Obviously, he couldn't say "ow."
Yeah, no. Ouch wasn't in his vocabulary. Wow.
And so he endured some very hard times. With Peoria. But God rest his soul, he was a gentle old man, and he was my grandfather, and I still remember to this day my grandfather, Carl Rohde. And we got to New York. We took a trip with Alexander Travel for the Macy's Day Parade. And one of the things we did is went to Ellis Island, and they had on the plaques the names of some of the immigrants, many of the immigrants who immigrated legally, something that
Ellis Island.
People need to learn in this country. There's a legal way and the right way to get into this country. You don't have to sneak in over the border. At any rate, so we were at Ellis Island, and guess what plaque I saw? But Carl Rohde. Yeah.
Really? You saw your grandfather's...
Well, here's the question. Is the name Rohde and Carl as common as Bill or Smith
I don't know.
John and Jones?
Yeah, I knew a Rhodey
You did.
here in Peoria.
How'd they spell it?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever saw his name in
There's a
writing.
couple of ways to spell Rhodey. One is R-H-O-D-E, and I believe
that's what I was going
my
to say, but I
grandfather-
don't think I've ever saw his name in writing, come to think of it. But he'd be about 75, 78, close to 80 years old now.
I have a letter.
Greg Rhodey was his
Greg Rhodey.
Yeah.
I have a letter all in German, beautiful handwriting. I should bring it in sometime and see if I can find someone who can read German handwriting. I spent a year and a half in Germany, but I didn't know that much German, and I certainly don't know it by writing, other than yard signs, other than road signs. You learn those real quick.
In the bathroom.
Yeah,
right.
And Guten Tag.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, here's our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. When you find a badly dehydrated kitten or puppy, the first thing you must do is replace the lost electrolytes the same as in a human baby. Clear Pedialyte will work well. Take a small syringe without a needle and holding the kitten in a sitting position, push the syringe into its mouth and slowly give the unflavored Pedialyte. Be careful he doesn't choke or aspirate the fluid into his lungs. Depending on how dehydrated the kitten is, you can give 12 cc's every hour, but hopefully you can get him to a vet sooner. It's also a safe bet the kitten has not eaten and is in need of nourishment. Kitten Milk Replacer, KMR, can be purchased in powder form at any pet or farm store. Mix the KMR with the Pedialyte and using the syringe, give the mixture in the same manner. This can help the animal greatly and buy you the time you need to get the kitten to the vet or rescue. My sister did not know about these precious tips, and time was lost for the kitten she tried to save. Now she has learned some valuable tips. Remember, keep Pedialyte on hand, always have Kitten Milk Replacer, and then you can help any ailing animal while you're on the way to the vet. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Stuardo Glasser, is he a local guy?
No, those are all national.
Oh, really?
This song is supposed to be a cover song for a well-known singer. Does it ring a bell with you at all?
A croner? An old croner?
Well, not old, very updated. Mercy Me is the song. Does that ring a bell at all?
No.
And sung by
Michael Bublé.
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Have you heard this song? It's a cover song.
I know Marvin.
You know Marvin?
Way back,
The only Marvin I know is Lee Marvin.
Lee
One of my favorite actors.
Yeah, he was great.
The Dirty Dozen or whatever. Let's go back to see if this reminds you of. This is a cover song as well.
Oh, this is from that album that you have with it's kind of familiar, but it's
like
not
it.
familiar. Right.
So the name Lowell Hopper ring a bell?
No, not at all. Lowell Hopper?
Yeah, Lowell Hopper.
Never heard of him.
I Hear You Calling.
No,
There's a song there. All right.
Never heard of it.
I'm not sure you would get that one.
Nope.
All right, let's go back. I had something else to do, but I'm
that's
having
all right.
fun with this.
Play with this. Oh yeah, that's a Stevie Wonder song.
Well, very good. I knew we would get
Isn't
one to
she
do it. Is a cover for what song?
Isn't she lovely?
Isn't she lovely? And she is. I can hear him singing that
A
little.
little mellow today, huh, Raj?
Yeah. All right, let's see. Here's you'll get this one too. This was
maybe.
one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Don't tell
It's
me.
about a country,
America. Yeah. It's
and you're right. Starts with A.
Toto.
Yes, yes, and the song is.
Toto 2. Oh, I just can't. I hate that.
Think AF.
Africa.
Yes, very good. I knew you would.
Yeah. Where do you get all these?
Louis puts these together.
Almost familiar, but not
bumper,
quite.
yeah, bumper music for me. I love it. I love what he does. I love the bumper music we have on the show. Again, extraordinarily unique for our show. I like this one.
Oh yeah, that's. I know this one too.
Okay.
Oh jeez.
Okay. Two names.
Yeah.
How do you get from one class to another in school? Where do you walk? What's another word for corridor?
Hall?
Yes.
Oh, this Hall and Oates.
Okay.
Right.
If you didn't get that, I was going to say, what do you
clue.
feed a horse for food?
Hay or oats?
Yeah.
Hay and oats?
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's. What do we got? How much time? We got more time.
We got more time.
Play a little bit with the
Nothing
music.
but time. Well, that's Michael Jackson.
The Jackson 5.
Or the Jackson
What's the
5.
name of it?
ABC.
Incorrect. I'll help you out. I want you back.
No.
No, you don't. You didn't
I
know
know it's
that.
Michael Jackson.
I,
by the way,
well, I know. I'll help you out. We'll close with this one. I know you want this one.
yeah, that's your friend.
All right. One of the big cities in Texas. Her last name.
Whitney Houston.
Yeah. Good. What's the name of the song? I want to dance with somebody. Anybody.
That's right.
Somebody dance.
I want to dance with
When you were a young adult, did you ever go to a place that was jumping with men and women?
Jumping with men and women?
Yeah. And on the
Like a
dance floor.
nightclub or
and you wanted to dance with somebody.
No, I never. But dancing wasn't that big in my generation. No, we could. No. We didn't have. Well, there was nightclubs. Remember the Club Peoria? That was a big nightclub.
Yeah. Where was Club Peoria located?
Down Adams, South Adams. It would have been south of the ballpark, I think, right? Or did the ballpark?
Yeah,
take
that
it?
would be probably on South Adams.
Yeah, or the ballpark.
The Clover Club.
Took its
No,
property.
not the Clover Club.
500
was
Club.
The Clover Club was right across from City Hall on
Right.
Fulton Street.
Right.
Jack Adams was the owner.
Right,
Of the
right.
what club were you talking about?
Club Peoria.
Club Peoria.
Carl Gideon. Carl
Okay.
Gideon used to own it, and his
So-
son Bud used to live in that hotel, the old Lee Hotel that they
You're
tore down.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Julian Hotel was where my dad
I'm
finally
sorry,
had.
Julian.
Was it Julian?
Yeah.
Okay. I know my dad, when he drove by it, he would point to a window and said, "That's where I got my first hotel room." Until he made enough money cutting hair as a kid, as a teenager, he slept in a railroad car on the side in Bartonville
Really?
and walked to downtown Peoria.
Wow, I know your
Yeah.
dad was a walker.
He was, you're exactly right. And we're going to walk right out of here on the sound of,
All right.
I want to find anybody to dance with. In the meantime, have a
Not
great
me,
day, and we'll be back tomorrow with more of the same. In the meantime, remember, God loves you, and so do we. And special thanks for Terry to coming in on his off day to fill in, as
Love it.
Terry Chamberlain is serving on the grand jury, and our words to her when she left, remember, everybody's guilty.
Thanks for calling.
Guilty of loving one another.
Thanks
So
for
long.
calling.
You bet.